Hello, hello, hello! I am the Chris who plays games. Welcome to the stream, everybody. It's good to see you all here tonight. I'm happy to see you all. Jose, Jeremy, the Awesomeness Destroyer, regular vlogs, everybody else like that. Thanks for being here. As always, tonight we're going to be playing some video games, but also talking about the world around us. So there's been a bunch of different things going on today. There was the attack in Turkey where the Russian ambassador was shot. There was the Berlin truck driving through a Christmas mall thing. Our Electoral College faithless electors, more than I would have expected. And we can talk a little bit about the future that we're looking forward to now that, Donald Trump is the president-elect officially of the United States. Talk about Russian interference in the election, next steps for Democrats, and other things like that. And, of course, a couple of rants throughout the evening. But for now, we're just going to get right down into it and play this game called Strider. So I think this was suggested by one of the people who's hanging out here in the chat tonight. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding, that perhaps GGC suggested this. Hello, GGC. Well, congratulations on getting WWE 17. There's only one reason I asked you to come for. Kane was captured by the enemy. Since they once knew who he is, rescuing him is meaningless. Kill him, that's your mission. Uh-oh. I think Kane's like a good guy, though. I can't do it. The first thing is to find him. Alright, well then let's go find him. I guess we can go to Kazakh. So Kazakh is, of course, presumably based on Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan being the land that is just to the south of Russia. But yeah, so I know very little about this game. I've done essentially no practice. I made sure it ran in my emulator, and that's about it. So yeah, I guess I am a weird cyber ninja. It is 2049, and I am like a secret ops type dude, one of these striders of note. Oh god, get away from here. Alright, we'll go down here and go through. Ooh. I don't know what that was, but I think it made my health go back up, so there's that. You have a new channel! Yeah, so you changed your name too much on your old one, and so it got stuck, and so you made a new channel. I don't know if, expecting Trump to get impeached is a practical thing. That seems, in a Republican-controlled House and Senate, the idea of expecting Trump to get impeached seems a little bit unrealistic to me, but I suppose we can live in hope. Alright, No! No, stop hitting me. Ugh! Oh god! I don't know what oh, can I, like, do something like this? I don't know. I'm like, hey, let me just, like, kind of clip through walls. That seems like a really effective approach to beating this game. Alright. I got file number 1. I didn't even see file number 1? Did that show up on the screen and I just totally missed it? I don't know what MVC4 means in this context, so I can't actually answer your question at all. Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom. That was not directed at me. It was directed at Awesomeness. Anyway, happy Monday, everybody. I hope your Monday went okay. This weekend, I got a chance to do some cleanup of some of my web properties, which makes me a little bit happy. And other than that, you know, the world today has made. The world today is a little bit sadder than it was for me this morning. I think that the shooting in Turkey was very sad to hear about. Of course, I heard about it because someone asked me, hey, is, like, you know, Turkey blocking the internet again? Which is the way I hear about most things that happen in Turkey. Is that I get asked, like, why the internet doesn't work anymore. Okay, so is this gonna put me back at the beginning? Oh, it did. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so clearly I need to be more aggressive about save stating. Because I already died, and there's no continues or something. It's weird. Yeah. We heard this part already. Yes, I will go to Kazakhstan. One of the interesting things, of course, when I was working on map search at Nokia was Kazakhstan was really hard for me to spell, so there was actually a piece of paper on the wall because we got a bunch of queries that were in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan on how to spell all three because I would routinely screw it up, so that was good. You learned your lesson. I don't think that that was ever, like, doesn't it warn you every time you change your name that it's going, like, that it doesn't expect name changes and that you can get stuck? I felt like it did. I don't know how many name changes you actually get. I think it's like 3 in 90 days or something like that. I don't know. Hello, Flame Gremlin! How's it going? I was, So yes, I was earlier today, someone messaged me and was like, did Turkey block the internet? And I was like, well, there's this news article from this weekend about Turkey blocking all VPNs. And then, like, while I was looking at that, I found the news that, like, the Russian ambassador had been shot. And I was like, oh, yeah, probably Turkey blocked the internet. That's kind of what they do. I don't know, like, if there's a better way for me to make my way through that. Alright. You need something? Okay, so I'm confused. Does it just let me through that time without, like, needing to get the disc or something? I'm so confused. Anyway. Alright, so I've got like a ability to do something up, but it doesn't actually seem to do anything? I don't know if that actually like achieves something or if it just looks cool. I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, there we go. Now I have better life. Aha! Oh, now I even have better life. Excellent. So yeah, there was a gunman who attacked the ambassador of Russia in Ankara today, Ankara being the capital of Turkey, and instantly, like, I guess it was at like a news event. You know, if you looked around, there was actually, like, there was an AP reporter already there, and there was news cameras and everything else like that, which frankly to me feels a little bit freaky. I realize that people do a lot of things for publicity and everything else like that, but it's very weird to me to have this kind of very public, you know, incendiary attack with someone saying, you know, Allahu Akbar, you know, remember Aleppo, remember, you know, all these other things in an environment where you have a ton of photographers. You know, you got this guy there who's taking high quality pictures. You got video cameras set up. There was like video footage on YouTube right away. All of those things kind of freaked me out. I realized that, you know, people do weird, crazy things all the time, and I shouldn't be suspicious of all of them just because they're convenient, but it was, exactly. Oh, you thought it doesn't warn you on mobile? Okay, yeah. So I don't know I don't think that Twitter has any limit on name changes because it's kind of a relic in YouTube, I think, of the real name policy that Google was going with for a while. And so on Twitter, you don't have the same thing because Twitter supports pseudonyms kind of natively and all the way through their stack. So I'm not surprised to find out that Google has this limitation when Twitter does not. Of course, this is also one of the reasons perhaps why Twitter's abuse problem is more aggressive than YouTube's as well. Please wait, a cane is up there and the commander has the key. You'll find it if you analyze this. Please let me go. The sky's falling! How's it going? The sky's falling, I just got that. Alright. I got file number 2, so that's good. The sky's falling. Alright, let's go through here. I wonder, is my emulation just really crappy, or did this game have, like, these super bad clipping issues? Alright, so I can kind of like hang on this, but not do anything else. Van Helsing, the person who committed the, you know, murder or assassination was a Turkish SWAT officer? That's odd. I would not have expected that. Although it is clear that, like, Turkey, and so one of the things that he said before he died was, you know, remember Aleppo, or don't forget Aleppo. So it certainly seemed like there was some political motivation there as far as that went. Oh, okay, I can go like this way now. Oh, you think I can go in the elevator? I did not know he was a Turkish off-duty police officer, so you see, I'm behind on my news, clearly. I just figured I had to go this way. Alright, you stupid mech. Andreas, I don't think that came out in 1981. Or if it is, I don't know that Castle Wolfenstein, so... I only know the Wolf 3D. Oh, there was one before Wolf 3D. Okay, yeah, that makes sense, because otherwise it wouldn't have been Wolf 3D, would it have? So, yeah, that's interesting. I did not make that video, as I have never heard of the game you are speaking of. Ugh! Damn it. Oh god, I don't want to go down this way. Ugh! Oh, now I'm like way down here. Oh, man. The bad Strider? Is there a good Strider? Hello, Stingray! Hello, hello! What's the good Strider, Soybomb? Is that the, arcade version? Alright, can I just stab you through here? Okay, I can, but I hurt myself in the process. I don't like the jumping in this. It's kind of bad. The arcade Strider was more well received? Okay. Yeah, so I didn't... you know me, I always play the console version over just about anything else, so... Narcost! How's it going? But yeah, the whole Turkey attack thing just felt very staged to me. I realize that this is maybe too conspiracy theory-ish for most people, but to me that's just how it felt. And so when I saw it, and I saw the pictures, and someone's like, I thought the pictures were of somebody like defending the guy, and it clearly wasn't, and everything else like that. I don't know. There's a feeling there that I'm not really sure what like I'm thinking about it. I just know it doesn't feel right. It feels wrong. Anyway, I'm okay, Stingray. I was sick earlier today. I had to, okay, how do I open this door? Can I not open this door? Feels like I should be able to open this door. Alright, get out of here. Especially given that Turkey is clearly, like, in a lot of ways doing this whole, like, they're rounding up academics and journalists and everybody else like that disagrees with the government and, like, you know, doing terrible things, so, yeah, our daughter's cat is not behaving at all, but so it goes. Okay, I've got like buttons here. Does this do anything? No? Alright, I've got one key. Alright, can I like... I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm so lost! Alright, let me quickly flop over here. You travel to the room to the left of this military. It looks like that one is important later. We jump back to... Oh, go back to the beginning of the level. Okay, I have to go back to the beginning of the level. Anyway, yeah, so the cat's not behaving, but I think the biggest issue with the cat is that the cat didn't feel like it had a home. So the last time we had the cat here, we kept the cat mostly in the, like, small bedroom / my office, and I think that as a result, it really felt like it had its own little place. Since we already have 2 other cats, I think that it's primarily reacting to being in a shared space that is not, you know, where it wants to be, and that's what the issue is, so... Okay, so now I've come here. Hey, Slim Gamer Man. I don't know. Are you late? I started at 9:15, so it's currently 9:31. Oh, I'm always having something off screen. No, it's just a walkthrough, not a map. Alright. So I'm trying to figure out if, like, there's a... So the jumping in this... I really do not like the controls in this game. That's what I'm figuring out. Ow. Leave me alone. Ouch. I died. I think that's just a game over, which I don't want. So let's do that. We'll go back to the beginning. Alright, take some health here. Maybe if I kill this guy and then go up here? No. Anyway, hello Modern Retro Gaming! Hello, hello! Hello everybody! So yeah, like I said, as usual, the way I learned about Turkey having something terrible happen is that the internet kind of falls off in Turkey. Turkey Blocks is a Twitter account that I then look at to figure out if Turkey is blocked, and the answer in this case was yes, YouTube is blocked in Turkey. Because this is Turkey's reaction to many different things, which is really a scary thing. I think Turkey is the biggest, in my opinion, is the biggest kind of evidence of what it could look like to have an authoritarian regime in the U.S. It's a country that was previously kind of democratic and everything else like that, and has under recent regime change become a quite authoritarian environment. So you've got okay, I would go... Oh, I have to go back to the very beginning of the level. Okay. Sorry, I forgot that this is not, like, that this is... I was thinking that when I went through that little glowing room that it was a second level, but it's not, and that was what was screwing up my mental model here. So let's make our way back across here, jump over, and don't fall into spikes, and kill the weird guys helicoptering at me. Alright, here we go. Okay, so I figured it out. The reason that I was not supposed to... The way I was supposed to handle this last time was to jump down there and fall down, and that was how I was supposed to avoid the spikes. So now I know that, but it doesn't really matter, because I'll probably have to go back there again, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of back and forth in this game. This is actually like Blaster Master in that regard, which I found really kind of annoying, is like all of the back and forth you have to do. It's like, oh, go through stage 1, then go through stage 2, then go through stage 3, then go back through stage 3, back to stage 2, then north to stage 4, and I'm just like, you know what? I could do without your stupid maze and having to redo the same parts of the level over and over again. Alright, so let's analyze. Let's analyze file 1. File 1 analyzed. Does it tell me anything? I am a strider. I left my attack boots in China. Please find them. Alright, let's analyze the other disc. File 2 analyzed. Vice Commander, it's me. I'll go to Egypt via Phantom Train. Don't lose the prisoner. Okay. Alright, so now we will transfer to... I guess we can go to Australia or Egypt, but we're gonna go to Egypt for right now. JPEG of Susan Summer. No, this is way too early for JPEGs, man. I don't know, when was the JPEG format invented? I don't know, like, how... I know that JPEG 2000 was more recent, but I guess JPEGs maybe existed in 1989. Not much, Eric. Just hanging out and chatting about the world events of today. As expected, the Electoral College did not go to someone other than President Trump. However, as I think was not expected, at least by me, there were actually 6 faithless electors, not including the electors from Hawaii, who still have an opportunity to vote, as far as I know. Okay, 1. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drop a save state, since I think I'm going to die right here for no good reason. Alright, there we go. Now what? Oh. Oh, I took the Phantom Train. Okay. 1992. See? I'm not crazy. I know that GIF is how I say that. the GIF format, which maybe is not the way I'm supposed to say it, but I do. The GIF format was earlier than that. I remember that being in the 80s because I vaguely remember the Unisys patents expire on it at some point after that. So, okay, so I 1987. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm sad I can't see the YTG emojis because I'm on normal YouTube chat today because apparently the YouTube gaming pop-out chat doesn't work in Edge today, which is kind of crappy. I don't know why. That's right, the GIF format. I know what I'm talking about. I am computer man. Yeah, that's what you say. I mean, it's graphics, so it should be GIF. I guess is the way that works. Because what is the letter that you start graphics with? It's GIF. Not GIF. Moms like you choose GIF. Choose GIF. I don't know why, like, I actually have no idea. Every time someone asks me that, they're like, which word do you say when you say this 3-letter combination? And I'm like, I don't even know, because I can't think about, like, I think about it too hard. Like, I say whatever makes sense in my head. I don't think about it. So then they ask me to think about it, and I have no idea what's going on. Alright, I think I can't open S2 doors yet. This is the impression I'm getting. And maybe I'll be able to later, but for now, I cannot. Well, tell me, Modern Retro, what could I do to make it more useful for you as someone who doesn't stream? I mean, if you had a list of people who subscribe to you in the order that they subscribe to you in, would that be interesting, or do you just get that from email? If you had a list of... I know one thing that's actually true is that YouTube doesn't actually provide you a good way of seeing, like, when you get fan funding donations. So they, like, you're allowed to type a comment, but if you have fan funding, even if you don't stream, it can be the case that you can receive a fan funding donation and then have no idea, which kind of is crappy. But I had a chat with the team who works on the kind of fan funding options recently, and they were like, so what are all the things that are wrong with it? Like, I see you wrote in this document there's lots of things that are wrong with it. What are they? And that was one of the things I brought up, so. Ravioli, ravioli, give me the formalioli. I can't even say that. Greedo incineration format. I like that idea. So Modern Retro, you can do that. So in livestream alerts, there's an option to have lists, and lists are lists of things that are, like alerts, basically. And so you can configure a list of recent subscribers, and it will pop up a page that just has your list of recent subscribers. So if you go to the homepage, well, not the homepage anymore, because I redesigned the homepage this weekend, but you can check that out there, so. But yes, so the Electoral College votes, ignoring Hawaii, had 2 faithless electors who were Republicans, one of whom voted for Ron Paul, and one who voted for Kasich. Kasich was kind of the de facto thing. And then 4 electors in Washington who were Clinton supporters who went for someone else. So 3 of whom went for Colin Powell, I guess, who I had kind of missed out on that being somebody that there was talk about, and then one other one who went for Spotted Eagle, who is I think Native American, who was selected somehow. So I was surprised to see Spotted Eagle. I was surprised to see Colin Powell, who I had not heard anything about. I guess maybe that was the Lessig pick, is what I heard, but I don't even know if that was true. Oh, I can slide now. I'm like Mega Man. Hooah! Well, but now I was like, I can't do it anymore. Okay. Can I get through there? There we go. Well, I mean, so I think that you can be a Clinton supporter and not vote for Clinton. I think that at the point where Clinton has already lost and you're not expecting anything else, I think that it is totally like reasonable to vote for somebody else, right? So I think that it is possible to be a Bernie supporter who voted for Clinton in the general election. I think it's possible to be a Jill Stein supporter who voted for Clinton in the election, because you're making a decision based on despite being a supporter of a certain type, you're making a decision based on the votes that are put in front of you, and it's a strategic decision. One of the things that I kind of hoped that strategy was, one of the things that I had kind of hoped was going to happen was that there was going to be kind of enough electoral votes that went the wrong way that it would lead people to really question the Electoral College, which I think is a really crummy system. Unfortunately, it does not seem that happened. I don't think, like, 6 is more, I think, than any election since, like, the 1824 election, when all of the electors of Virginia decided not to vote for the vice president, and to vote for somebody else instead. The vice president still won when the race went to the Senate, but other than that, I can't think of any other time when there's been 6, but I don't think that it's enough to make people question the Electoral College. I think you would have had to have like 100 or something like that. Like, if you had more votes for someone who wasn't Hillary than for Hillary, I think that would have kind of brought the questions up. So, hello NFK Gaming! I am the Chris who plays games, and we are playing a game called Strider tonight, and talking about current world events. So this includes the Electoral College, the assassination in Turkey today, the truck ramming in Berlin, and other things like that. So, welcome to the stream, and thanks for stopping by. One of the interesting things I actually found is that Facebook today, when I made a post about this stream earlier on my Facebook feed. You can, by the way, if you are interested in following me on Twitter, on Facebook, on anything else like that, you can check out links in the description below. I've been trying to work on getting more of my kind of long-form, interactive back-and-forth content onto Facebook so people can actually interact with it, and so that's something you might want to check out. But, you know, it was like, hey, like, this post is doing better than 95% of your other posts. Now, I only have 7 other posts, so that's kind of a bullshit number, but whatever. Oh, well, that's not very nice of that shark thing. And so it's like, here, have $10 to advertise, so... I think that it's, like, I can currently, like, run into walls, but I can't jump off of them, so I think I have to get that later. I also already learned the slide, so that makes me think that I'm going to be learning these abilities as I go through. By the way, painstakingly played in the... Oh, okay, I'm drowning. That's what's going on. I was like, why am I dying in this stupid water? But apparently I just can't do that. Yep. You are 100% right, Disguise. I had not realized. Good call. Do I personally feel like Trump will be assassinated? I do not. That seems an unrealistic... That seems entirely too hopeful to me, and I have no hope left. No, I mean, my hope is that Trump will be impeached. I don't want him to be assassinated because I don't believe anyone should be assassinated, and I hesitate to even kind of think about it. But I don't know. The reality is that if Clinton was the candidate, or was the president-elect, I would be much more concerned about her being assassinated than I am about Trump. I feel like the ideologue, I mean, Trump is a demagogue in a lot of ways, and given the kind of rhetoric that he espoused, I really fear what his supporters think. But with Clinton, Clinton supporters, I don't feel that as much, and Democratic supporters in general, I don't feel that as much. So it seems unlikely to me, but it's also, like, always hard to tell, right? I mean, I wouldn't have thought that, you know, JFK would have been assassinated. I wouldn't have thought a lot of things that obviously... I mean, I don't know if I've ever... Like, okay, so at least Lincoln was someone who I feel like there's a lot of reason to expect that. Like, you're talking about a president who just came out of a totally contentious war and other things like that. Hello, Chris GC8. Awesomeness Destroyer, he's had plenty of chances. His campaign was his chance. his cabinet picks has been his chance. He does not deserve any more chances. He has proven to be a person who is espousing, whether he believes it or not, fascist rhetoric since day one of being elected. He has been dishonest and completely inappropriate. He is unpresidential in every way, shape, and form, and I will not give him a chance to come into office and do more damage. The reality is that by giving Trump a chance, I feel that you are doing more harm to this country, you know, every day that goes by, because frankly, he's already talking about enforcing and creating policies and everything else like that that are unrecoverable, essentially from day one. You don't have time to give him a chance because he won't, like, any chance you give him will be too much. He'll abuse it and it'll be too late, so. Yeah, so Andrew Jackson, I think, is who you're thinking of, right? So Andrew Jackson perpetrated a genocide against the Native American people, and in general was a terrible person. Oh, okay. There's got to be a better way than what I'm doing. Okay, so standing on the bottom, it kills me. So if I stand here, I'm above water and I'm fine. But as soon as I touch the bottom, I'm kind of screwed. Alright. So I got that. Let's toss another thing down there. Damn it. I did kill him, so there is that. Oh, is that going to be any better? No. I mean, there's pretty much no one who ran in this race who I would not rather have than Donald Trump. Everyone else that you look at was essentially, as far as I'm concerned, just being a politician. You know, Pence is pretty terrible as a person, but I honestly, like, in addition, like, Trump has so many problems. He's completely unpresidential, but more importantly, he's not a politician, and so, like, predicting what he's going to do becomes almost impossible, and trying to guess what that means for the country is almost impossible. So, like, if I thought that Trump was going to be, like, at the best person he's ever presented all the time, then sure, I wouldn't care that much, because, like, Trump actually has some good things he's said. But unfortunately, like, Trump is always controlled by the last person who spoke to him, always. And so it's hard to know, like, what he's going to do in any case. And that's just not working. So, I mean, I think that in general, having dead people as president doesn't work very well. So I think, you know, posing a question of why not have a person who, as president, who is dead, that has a pretty easy answer as far as I'm concerned. Okay, do I have, like, some other ability that I'm missing here? I have, like, a slide-in trick. I don't have any other things. Hello, John Cooney! So yeah, like, we're talking about someone, and I think even more concerning to me of late is like, Trump's massive, you know, okay, so Trump's complete lies and like peddling false information as true, major problem. Trump's decision to kind of like shit all over China because he wants to feel powerful and doesn't like China despite making tons of money by, you know, buying their products. I don't really get that either. But his complete rejection of the idea that Russia had any involvement in the political campaign is kind of scary to me, because either it means that he, like, just cannot believe anything he's told is the truth unless it comes from his own head, which is scary to me, or it means that, like, he is... Okay, I'm getting closer. or it means that he's like really honestly believes that that Russia didn't do anything, or it just means that he's in their pocket and this is all just a ploy, right? None of those things are good as far as I'm concerned. Those are all really bad news. And so like him saying like, you know, defending Russia against US intelligence agencies is a scary thing to me. Like, I don't know how to interpret that in any way that I can see as well. So good call. Nicely done. Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't get me anywhere. I can't get out of here. God damn it. So, like, I'm pretty sure I don't have a wall jump. It's a trap! Okay, so... I mean, you think Putin is lying with what? By the way, I guess, the guy who did Admiral Akbar's voice died recently? I don't know if you guys knew that. Alright, what do I got? The Awesomeness Destroyer, the whole stream is going to be politics. If you're not interested in political talk, then you can get out. Sorry, my friend. The whole point of my streams is that they are a way for me to get out the conversations that I can't have elsewhere in my life. I appreciate the fact that people are here to listen to me and chat with me and tell me everything I'm wrong about, but I also am perfectly happy to, you know, live without anyone's acceptance of the things that I want to talk about, and okay, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. I guess there's a triangle jump? Did I just manage to... Hello, Art Sherpa! Do I believe in any country conspiracies? I think all countries exist? I don't know what that question means. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's cool, Cluecumber. Cluecumber. Do I think Trump is the next Hitler? I don't know. I hope not. I think there are, like I said, there's a couple problems with Trump. One is that he is, he's never honest about anything, and so trying to estimate what he's trying to do is that. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if this, like, can I just, like, not do this move in this game? He's a puppet for Putin. He might be a puppet for Putin. He might just not. He might just be clueless, but that doesn't seem right. I feel like Trump. The thing you know about Trump is that Trump will always do what's best for Trump. I like Hitler doesn't seem like the right thing to me. I don't know. A place where there's slanted platforms. Alright, I'm gonna go back a little bit further and see if I missed something. Juan Vasquez! I have not been watching any mainstream media, but I'm happy to hear in which way you think I am repeating the theories of the mainstream media, because I disagree. MSM is mainstream media. This is what, This is the standard defense for, like, you know, believing facts about the world rather than conspiracy theories, is you're reading too much mainstream media. Alright, so there's an S2 door. I wonder if I'm, like, failing to... Let me try this and see if I get any further or not. Grab this. Okay, so why do I think that Trump is dishonest? Trump has repeatedly made false statements. I think that's simple, right? If you don't agree with that, then we're having a lot of trouble. But one of the things that I think is dishonest is his statement that millions have illegally voted, right? That's his most recent one. So just take ones that he's made since he's been president. Millions illegally voted in the 2016 election. It's a statement with zero evidence. It's a statement that is completely undermined by every piece of evidence that is out there. It has absolutely no relationship with reality. He knows that. He must know that. If he doesn't know that, then he's not dishonest, he's just stupid, and I don't think Trump is stupid. I think he's a smart person. So with that being the case, I see this as evidence that he's dishonest. So I'm not even like you know, his claim that he would have, like, he's not claiming he did win the popular vote. He's claiming he would have won the popular vote if we didn't count illegal votes. Okay, so Trump did not say that, or Obama did not say that. What he said, okay, so I've gone through that speech a million times. There's no way you can convince someone one way or the other. Obama's statement was unclear, and I admit that, but he did not say anything about illegals voting, and he did not encourage illegals to vote. He spoke to someone who used the phrase, I call illegal, like, undocumented immigrants, like, undocumented citizens, and then he said, you, person I am speaking to, are a citizen, you can vote, and because you can vote, it is clear that you will want to vote in order to make a difference for those in your life who can't vote. This is not some conspiracy theory. This is not, you know, anything else like that. This is okay. So here's what the triangle jump is. The triangle jump is when you're sliding down, and then you kind of jump off. I think that's what the triangle jump really is. I think the other problem is I think I'm supposed to be able to open these S2 doors, and I don't seem to be able to. So I think I need another key from somewhere, and that's a problem. So yes, there is absolutely no evidence that millions of people voted illegally. There's absolutely no evidence that that illegals can vote. There is absolutely no evidence that Obama said illegals can vote. There is evidence that if you take a set of unclear statements and misconstrue them, you can make them say whatever you want. You could take the words that I just uttered, and you can make them say many things that I did not actually intend or mean. And it is also the case that you can take words that I did say and interpret them in a bad way. This is common even when people aren't being intellectually dishonest. So no, it's not. That's not fair at all, Soy. This is a really common set of beliefs among Trump supporters. That when Trump says, you know, many of these clearly demonstrably false statements, that they are accurate, and it's not uncommon, and I don't know what to do about it, because it's like there's only so much you can do to fix complete misunderstanding. So I mean, you can look at PolitiFact's, you know, analysis of his various statements while on the campaign trail and ignore anybody else. Like, ignore anybody else. And you can ignore, and you can say all the time PolitiFact is a liberal organization. You can say all the time that, you know, PolitiFact is an organization that is intending to cause, you know, X, Y, or Z. You can say all kinds of things like that. And I'm not even going to argue that, because I think that, you know, it's fine to say that, there are fact-checking organizations can have a bias, and which statements they check can be biased, and other things like that. But at the same time, they rated 70 to 80% of the statements that Trump made as just false. And you know, at some point, that's based on not, you know, opinion. It's based on like fact. Insofar as these are like sourced things with studies to back them and other things like that. And while you can argue that PolitiFact is a biased organization insofar as they are a fact checker that that does have like implicitly which statements you choose to fact check is going to have a bias. And certainly there are statements out there that were clearly intended as humorous by any of the candidates that are not being interpreted that way by fact-checking organizations. These are things I'm not even trying to argue, but it is also the case that Trump just lies all the time. He's just wrong. So I am saying that which statements they choose to fact check can be 100% biased, and that does not make their annotated and sourced claims of what is false and not false true, or any more suspect, right? I believe in facts. Facts are a thing. Facts are supported by measurement. Facts are supported by data. Facts are supported by, you know, other things like this. I had a long conversation with somebody at one point where I was trying to discuss with him not whether global warming is caused by humans, not whether global warming is like, you know, anything else like that. Like, ignore the anthropomorphic, you know, argument entirely, and just tell me, do you think the Earth is warmer now than it was, do you think that the Earth is warmer now than it was, you know, 100 years ago? And the answer I got was no. I don't think the Earth is warmer now than it was a year ago, or 100 years ago. And at that point, like, that's a fact, right? Like, that's not something that needs opinions. That's not something that needs confirmation. That's not something that needs anything else like that. Whether the Earth is warmer now or not is a fact. We have lots of data to back it up, and it is true that it is the case. So, and so PolitiFact, again, I don't agree necessarily that PolitiFact has the extreme liberal bias that is claimed by those who are generally Trump supporters and those on the right, but I will admit that any fact checker will have that bias, and if you have a preferred fact checker that is differently biased, I'm happy to review that instead. But as is, I think that factcheck.org, PolitiFact, and others like them have been pretty consistent in proving that, or in establishing that of the statements they check, Trump lies a lot, and seemingly intentionally, and seemingly contradicts himself. And so at some point you have to kind of look at that. Okay, so do I have 2 keys now? I have 1 key. I don't know if I'm like, you know, doing something else. Hold on, let me see if I got like some mention of keys in this thing. Okay. Okay, so do I learn the triangle jump? Okay, the triangle jump allows him to bounce off walls and jump higher than normal. Okay, so yeah, I guess you're right, Nick, that I can just, like, bounce off walls, sort of. And I'm wondering if my bad, like, I'm wondering if like this is just emulating badly and I'd have to switch to a different emulator, because I seem to like stick but not, you know, do anything else. So so yeah, I think that like anytime you're quoting directly from like InfoWars, anytime you're, you know, doing anything else like that, I have real problems. I think that even if you are to take Trump at his word, right? One of the things he said is, I never intended to lock Hillary up. Like, that was just for the campaign trail. One of the things he said is, you know, you can look at a dozen of his campaign promises and find out which ones he intends to stick to. And most of them that aren't the terrible ones seem to have gone by the wayside. So, you know, he's gone back and forth on pretty much everything that he said he wants to do. And I think that that's a problem. So I think that it is understandable to think that, you know, Trump was... Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Let me quickly pull up like a video walkthrough and see if we can figure out like how to do the triangle jump or something here. Just one moment. Strider walkthrough. NES. We'll kind of skip ahead here to the part that we're at now. Okay, so play that, swap to this. If you honestly think that Trump is going to pursue prosecution against Clinton, you are... I don't know. I think that you're going to be sadly mistaken. I think that Jill Stein recount BS, I don't think was BS. I think that it was like perfectly reasonable for Jill Stein to do what she did. Her goals were this, as far as I'm concerned. One, she wanted to build up an increased size of her mailing list, and as an agreed party in the election, which had statistical anomalies that were worth explaining, she had every reason to ask for it. Two, her campaign and party has long had a... Okay, so I just gotta get better at jumping. That's all there is to it. So we'll flip back to the game here and pause this. So I think that I will definitely not say that I believe that Jill Stein's motives in her recount were pure. Hillary's not behind that. Stein's behind that. Stein saw an opportunity and took it. She's a political operative. Why would she do any different? She doesn't need Clinton's help to figure out how to make $10 million bucks. So yeah, she raised about $3.5 million for her campaign for the entire campaign season. She probably had like a couple 100,000 individual donors. She saw an opportunity and she grabbed it. She saw widespread reports where she could take advantage of gullible Clinton voters and you know, do something with it. I supported it because I think that we should have more regular recounts, because I'm not supporter of electronic voting machines, because as a software developer, I know how terrible they are. I think that that's the kind of thing that, you know, we should be you know, looking for more appropriate voting election recount machines and other things like that. And I think the fact that we're not constantly engaged in... Okay, there we go. So I have to like bounce off of it. So I have to go in. Alright. There we go. Got it. Yes! So yeah, I don't think Clinton has to be behind that at all. Jill Stein, despite her relative ineptitude at running a campaign, can still see an opportunity to strike when the iron's hot in taking advantage of a bunch of, you know, unhappy Clinton supporters who believe that they were robbed. We weren't robbed. The election wasn't stolen by adjusting vote counts on voting machines. The election was stolen by, you know, a set of people who didn't care about, you know, their fellow man. I got the aqua boots, woohoo! I don't think so. Hey, the Gamesman, how's it going? So yeah, I think that to classify Clinton as being behind the recount is just silly. I don't think that it's meaningful because, frankly, Jill Stein is smart enough to do that on her own without Clinton's support. And Occam's razor suggests that whichever explanation is simplest is likely the truth, and I think that that's what applies here. Well, that was a really stupid thing to do. But again, so okay, so here, what do we have in general? We have a president who is establishing a cabinet where every single member of it is against LGBT rights. We have a president who has appointed an advocate, or let's see. Bannon is not necessarily an advocate of the white supremacist movement, but practically speaking, he knows that he is a supporter of the white supremacist movement because he is... Oh, sorry, not supremacist, the white nationalist movement, because he, has created a platform that he knows is their platform. The alt-right, jokingly, the neo-Nazis of today, the white nationalists of today, are a set of, frankly, in many cases, horrendous people. In the same way that there are horrendous people in all of walks of, political life, but, personally, ones that I disagree with, so... No problem, Awesomeness Destroyer. I'm glad that my political talk helps you fall asleep. Alright, get over here, shark. Alright, that was much better now that I didn't have stuff there. Yeah, so he profited from the white nationalist movement, and he knows it. He didn't do it unknowingly. He admitted it in interviews. And I'm not going to say that I have, like, complete moral whatever here. I've worked for a company that also profits from the white nationalist movement insofar as working for Google means that our ad platform supports Breitbart and other things like that. I think that in general they're not nationalists, they're white nationalists. The beliefs of the alt-right are that, the people who are white need a country to call their own. So I think that I call them white nationalists because that's what they are, it's what they call themselves. And if you look at forums like, /r/alt-right or Stormfront or other things like that, that's exactly what they would call themselves, so... in this case, I believe that I am, one, following the AP style guide for referring to white nationalists, or to the alt-right, and two, I'm following kind of their own propaganda. There we go. Okay, so this jump move is definitely going to take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm getting it. At least I have figured out that it is possible to do. Uh-oh. Oh, is this a good guy? I gotta level up. Why do Striders have to disturb us? Oh, okay, I'll give this to you. Please don't kill me. That seems like a reasonable trade. Key number 2 acquired. So... DMX, so... I fully agree that Bernie Sanders was a very different kind of candidate. I think that he has lived, he's been a key part of the kind of independent wing of the left-leaning, Congress for a long time. He's, ruled Vermont with a Democratic fist, and overall is a pretty decent dude. Yeah, so Juan, I think that that's one of the things that pushes most of us, or at least some of the people in my social circles away, is that communities like Stormfront, communities like alt-right, are alt-right on Reddit and other things like that, are not just about improving the country, right? In many cases, these are about improving the country by kicking the people out who they don't approve of. Alright, so do I have anything to analyze here? No, I don't. Okay, I think I actually have to go back and find something here again. Hold on. Yes, I know that. Alright, so let's go back to Kazakh. I would say, Juan, if you believe that, if you consider yourself to be part of the, oh, I went to the wrong place, I think. Hold on, sorry. I think that if you consider yourself to be a, oh, okay, what does it say? Return to Kazakh? Okay, it does actually say that. I was right. Sorry. Yeah, if you consider yourself to be a member of the alt-right and you are not white, you should be aware that your desires are being co-opted by a number of other people. I think that, you know, it is worth noting that the plans that Chris Kobach was photographed carrying are basically plans that would allow Trump to intentionally deport anyone. Period. So one of the issues with the things that were the plans that were shown is that Kobach's plans effectively like what's the word? Basically, anyone who was caught was arrested for any crime could be considered to be an illegal alien and kicked out of the country, and the documents also called for a lack of due process in that situation. So in that case, you're dealing with a very aggressive plan for getting rid of anyone who doesn't look white. And Kobach's, you know, existing goals and other things like that around NSEERS and Muslim tracking from 2002 to 2011 and other things like that kind of support that. If you combine that with the oh crap, who was it? The pick that he made, basically one of Trump's other picks wants to, you know, deport 1 million people, to declare us under to be at war with terrorism, and to kick out anyone who holds extremist views. I hold extremist views by the definition of many, and as a result, he wants to put 1 million people in Guantanamo Bay. That was his statement: is I believe that we should have 1 million more people in Guantanamo Bay. So. So I would say that I don't agree with you personally on closed borders, but I am 100% in favor of tax cuts for the middle class. I think that tax cuts for corporate is a questionable decision. The biggest reason that I say that is because I think taxes on corporations are actually, like, practically speaking, we are nowhere near where we need to be on the Laffer curve in order to, you know, have limitations on business investment due to corporate taxes. And so with that in mind, okay, so hold on, let me see what this says. Not much, Psycho Mike. So yeah, tax cuts for the my personal objective would be even higher tax cuts for the lower and middle classes, and even higher taxes for rich assholes like me. I frankly don't pay my fair share, and I think that that's shitty. I think that there are a lot of people in this country who suffer, and I think the fact that Trump wants to give me back tens of thousands of dollars in taxes is ridiculous. And, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at, is that, you know, I look at it as something where I am personally going to be positively affected by Trump's tax cuts, at least as they've been proposed. But that comes at a cost of, you know, $5 trillion of increased national debt over the next N years. Okay, that did not go well. I don't even know where my last save state slot is. Load, let me see where I've got, hold on, sorry. What time is it? Alright, I need something close to that. So 22:14? Probably the best one I've got. Alright, do I have the boots at least? Okay, I do have the boots. I don't, 50% of it can't, the highest income tax rate is 39%. There's no way that 50% of his income goes to income tax. I don't know what he's telling you, but that's not true. Or if it, sorry, that's not fair. It's entirely possible that some of it can go to income tax from other places. But frankly, if you are making a few $100,000 a year and you feel like you are unable to make ends meet, I'm really confused. Speaking as someone who, I don't know, I make several $100,000 a year and I don't have a problem with that. If you can't figure out how to make less of your income be income at that point, you need a better accountant. There's lots of ways to avoid that particular problem. Hello, Nevik! So yeah, Tillerson as our Secretary of State, like, there's just so many things where I look at it and it's like, if Trump was trying to be the evil genius in a Bond movie, he would be less conspicuous, right? You know, being under threat or being questioned by people of being in Russia's pocket and then appointing a Secretary of State who's an oil company CEO, like, could you be more obvious? I just, like, if you were to write this in a fictional story, it would get laughed out of, like, the editor's room, because how could you pull that off? So DMX, so here's the problem. There aren't 2 million convicted illegal immigrants in this country at all. And most importantly, the documents that Kobach was seen carrying around says nothing about convicted, right? You're talking about an organization that has made cabinet picks that intend to that have explicitly stated that they don't believe that due process should be in effect. They don't believe that people deserve equal protection under the law. If you are arrested and you are brown, you should be kicked out of this country. That's really what we're dealing with. And maybe that's not what's going to happen. I pray to God that that's not what's going to happen. But that is the situation that we're currently dealing with, is that you're dealing with an environment where that's what the Trump cabinet picks and everything that we can find indicates so far. That's a scary thing. And so when I look at not, you know, Trump's statements on the campaign trail, when I look at not anything else like that, but instead I look to his cabinet picks as, you know, the best indication that I can think of what he plans to do going forward. When I look at, you know, things like the previous plans that have been implemented by cabinet picks, when I look at other things like that, that's where I get scared. And you can disagree with that, that's fine. But frankly, if you are not white, it is hard for me to imagine how you can think that a Trump presidency is not really scary to you. I think that if that's the case, then you are honestly, I think, not fully evaluating the situation that we are all in. I really hope that Trump is not the next, you know, Andrew Jackson or the next Hitler or the next, you know, whoever else. I really do. Because frankly, that would be worse for all of us, and I'm not sitting here trying to, you know, get us to the worst case scenario. I think that would be a terrible thing. But I think that if you are looking around and you are brown skinned and you think everything's going to be just fine for you, I think you might be missing some of the risks that are in place here. Hello, Raphael. So yeah, as someone who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, I don't believe that I should, I believe that I am, despite paying, I think I paid something like, I don't know, $90,000 last year in federal taxes, and I should be paying more. There are a lot of people in the world who need things that I can't, that I'm not going to be able to provide. And I think that if you look towards some of the problems, and I'm not even going to say the Democrats did a good job at selling this, right? I think that there's a lot of ways in which the Democrats did a poor job at getting the message across of what they care about. I don't think anyone should have voted for Hillary. I don't care about that. What I care about is that we are looking at a situation where in the coming years we're going to be losing jobs of hundreds of thousands and millions more workers, truck drivers, you know, people who work at McDonald's and everything else like that that we have had, and those jobs going away is going to leave us with a massive population of people that are going to need some kind of support, and the biggest way to do that is via social programs. So, oh hey, to the nines. Yeah, so I'm hopeful he's like just the next Erdogan, right? I'm hopeful that we're just dealing in a situation where he is, you know, arresting dissidents and putting them in jail, as opposed to deporting them to a different country, where stripping someone of their citizenship and other things like that is not a thing. But I'm worried. That seems bad for me. Oh god. Okay, well. So one, I think that, so here's what I would like to see, right? Short term, I think that we need to look to see, I'm totally not down with the idea of inheriting massive amounts of money. I think it's terrible. Alright, so what am I supposed to do now? I go to Japan. Okay. Oh god. I don't know when I last saved, but it wasn't recently enough. Alright, cool. I've gotten stronger, here you, take this with you. So yeah, I think that one, we should invest in a massive infrastructure project on the scale of the WPA and the Civilian Conservation Corps of the 1930s. We need a New Deal to put people back to work doing the things that we need done, and that includes, you know, first starting on shovel-ready projects, especially around infrastructure, around schools, and other things like that. And I think the more that we can do in that realm, the better. The second thing that I think we need to do is to come to as like a people and acknowledge that we're not, or acknowledge that the future of work is going to look very different. That either means we need to invest in massive re-education of millions of people in order to do more highly skilled work and labor, or we need to acknowledge that in the long term we're going to be involved in a situation where not everyone has a job. And I think that those are the... And so I think that as... Okay. And so I think that the sooner that we come to the realization that... Okay, what... Hello? Oh, well, that didn't go well for me, did it? Oh, DMX, the reason that you want them, the reason that you want to tax their income higher is to cause them to invest in more companies, right? Corporate taxes are lower, investment taxes are lower, capital gain taxes are lower, all of the things that, all of the things that you want people to do, you want their income taxes high, because when income taxes are high, people invest that in employees, in businesses, and all these other things. You want high income tax because the way that you get people to stop taking home money and putting it in their bank accounts where they don't spend it on other things, and instead invest it in their companies, is to have high personal income taxes. If I were to set up a business and you know, invest the say I got $250,000 a year, right? And I need $100,000 a year to live on, and the other $150,000 a year is something that I can you know, play with. okay, so I can either like invest those things back into a company where I can take those off my income as, you know, expenses or whatever else like that and not pay taxes on it, or I can keep it in my bank account. Like, one of those is clearly better than the other. Okay. Head off to China. I mean, I think the reality is that in a lot of cases, yeah, I was gonna say, what's the debt comparison here? I've got a cat outside who wants to get in. I'm gonna put on a quick video. I've been watching The West Wing recently, and this particular video is a favorite of mine. I'll be back in about 3 minutes, but in the meantime, you get to watch The West Wing and a little video clip about the Peters projection map. So stick around. I'm enjoying the conversation. Thank you for being here, Juan and Clucumber and other folks, and DMX. I love the chat, and I would love to continue talking. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. I'm gonna let the cat in and get myself a drink. So here we go, and watch this interesting video in the meantime.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Hello.
Sorry to be late.
Not a problem.
I'm CJ Craig.
Of course you are. I'm Dr. John Fallow. This is Dr. Cynthia Sales and Professor Donald Huke.
Huke?
Huke.
Okay, and you are the Organization of Cartographers for Social Equality.
Well, we're from the OCSE. We have many members.
How many?
4,300 dues-paying members.
What are the dues?
$20 a year for the newsletter.
Let's start.
Wait, I want to see this.
This is Josh Lyman.
Indeed you are.
Josh, this is Dr. Fallow, and
Hi.
his merry men.
Yes.
Should we begin?
Yes. Plain and simple, we'd like President Bartlett to aggressively support legislation that would make it mandatory for every public school in America to teach geography using the Peters projection map instead of the traditional Mercator.
Give me $200 and it's done.
Really?
No. Why are we changing maps?
Because, CJ, the Mercator projection has fostered European imperialist attitudes for centuries and created an ethnic bias against the Third World.
Really?
The German cartographer, Mercator, originally designed this map in 1569 as a navigational tool for European sailors.
The map enlarges areas at the poles to create straight lines of constant bearing or geographic direction.
So it makes it easier to cross an ocean.
But
Yes.
it distorts the relative size of nations and continents.
Are you saying the map is wrong?
Oh dear, yes. Look at Greenland.
Okay.
Now look at Africa.
Okay.
The two land masses appear to be roughly the same size.
Yes.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Yes?
Here we have Europe, drawn considerably larger than South America. When it's 6.9 million square miles, South America is almost double the size of Europe's 3.8 million.
Alaska appears 3 times as large as Mexico, when Mexico is larger by 0.1 million square miles.
Germany appears in the middle of the map when it's in the northernmost quarter of the Earth.
Wait. Relative size is one thing, but you're telling me that Germany isn't where we think it is?
Nothing's where you think it is.
Where is it?
I'm glad you asked. The Peters projection.
It has fidelity of axis.
Fidelity of position.
East-west lines are parallel and intersect north-south axes at right angles.
What the hell is that?
It's where you've been living this whole time. Should we continue?
Uh-huh.
There's one other bit at the very end that I wanna quickly
I'm gonna
skip
check
forward
in
to.
on
They're likely to be valued less. When Mercator maps exaggerate the importance of Western civilization, when the top of the map is given to the Northern Hemisphere and the bottom is given to the Southern, then people will tend to adopt top and bottom attitudes.
But wait, where else could you put the Northern Hemisphere but on the top?
On the bottom.
How?
Like this.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
Why not?
Because it's freaking me out.
I love CJ's reaction there. I think it's just great. I think that it really speaks to kind of the the kind of implicit biases that we all have in our view of the world. It has all these other things. So, sorry, GGC, I was just getting a drink and letting a cat in who had been pawing at the window the entire stream. So, it's because it's freaking me out. It's freaking me out. That's why you can't do that. So the Peters projection is an example of where something that we see every day, we all see every day, is like totally like, we see it, we think we know the way the world works. And we think that, Africa and Greenland are approximately the same size, but they're not. And we think that, Europe is the, almost as big as South America, but it's not. And then, of course, more importantly, is the fact that the globe focuses on the North, right? So it's built by essentially people in the North. And as a result, there's all of these kinds of things that are just built-in implicit biases. And so when you switch to the Peters projection map, you get a very different experience from it. So yeah, I will probably get a claim or something like that, but whatever. Was it me? I voted in your poll. I voted Zelda. Anyway, hello, Greek guy, long time no see indeed. Okay. So yeah, the jobs are going away. In the next 20 to 30 years, you're going to see tons of jobs go away. Mark, who's in the chat, is one of the people who is helping to make them go away, working for a robotics company. I work for a company that's trying to work on making them go away as well, obviously, as I work for Google, which is the creator of the self-driving car project. Although I guess, I don't know, I don't fully understand our position on the self-driving car anymore. I guess there's a new company called Wumbo or something like that. I don't know. I don't get it, but self-driving cars are going to become a thing, and when self-driving cars become a thing, what you're going to see is a massive number of unemployed people. Self-driving trucks are probably going to happen even sooner. Practically speaking, you can imagine automated trucking industry that, even if the trucks just drive to holding pens near major cities, the cross-country truck driver, which is the most common job in something like 36 states at this point, is going to have to go away. And certainly we've gone through transitions like this before, right? You've gone from the transition of everyone was a farmer to everyone was a steel worker to you're in manufacturing to everyone was a trucker. And those are all we've been able to pull them off, but I don't know what the next one looks like. And maybe it's the case that there's a next thing that's coming, right? Reality TV show star would never have been something that I would have considered a job had you asked me, 20 years ago, are people going to get paid to just be on TV? I would have said, no, I don't know. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. It's going to be not like that. So I'm good, Celso. Good to see you. And absolutely, Juan, and I'm not trying to say force them. I'm trying to say we're already there. I'm trying to say, we are already, in the thick of it. We're already seeing experiments with replacing, McDonald's cashiers with machines. We're already seeing, ATMs. When I was 6, banks started charging fees in order to talk to humans at banks instead of the ATMs. And that at least was a thing that kind of got reversed and wasn't really picked up on. But, people think that machines are going to replace humans, and they're not wrong. I mean, Nick, the reality is that those things are things that software is going to be able to deal with way better than humans anyway, so. Yeah, so YouTubers and entertainment and creative works and other things like that are definitely things that are going to change. And so we can look around the world and say, what's the next job? And maybe there's enough. Maybe I'm wrong, right? This is my fear. And it's not just me. I was actually listening to an interview with Thomas Friedman. Thomas Friedman's an economist who wrote a book on this topic, and he's also a writer at the New York Times or something like that. And he basically said the same thing, which is the employment, the jobs in the world are going to change. And whether we're ready for them to change or not, they're going to change. And we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do about that. Did I go to your room? The key number 4 should be at Kazakh. Yeah, I got that already. Absolutely, DMX. But the reality is, self-driving trucks are a great idea, but they're a great idea which is going to put lots and lots of people out of a job. Or maybe I didn't get the S4 key. Okay, now take the left tube to go back to the beginning of the level. Yeah, and the one who gave you your drink, right? Like, you don't need him anymore. Like, I've worked these jobs. Like, I am not, like, unaware of the types of jobs that will be replaced, right? I've worked as a bagger at a, I've worked as a bagger, I've worked as a stock boy. You know, look at the Amazon Prime to Go, or whatever it's called, where you just walk in, you know, scan your phone and don't interact with a human anywhere in the grocery shopping process. Look at all of these things. They're all coming, and they're not far off. These are not at all far away. They're very close. And so, you know, I think that's the thing that a lot of people, did I analyze for already? I feel like I did. Yeah, so Leif, you can certainly imagine that, like, if all they're doing is giving you a cup, it is certainly possible that you put $2 in the machine. So Juan, so here's the thing, right? I'm not disagreeing with you that there may be a better solution. That's interesting, Van. So yeah, I totally agree that it would be great to, so one of the things we need, right, again, is massive re-education, right? I don't want to feed everybody for free. Ideally, that's not the way we do it. I don't want to feed everybody. But I want to feed the people who aren't going to be able to get jobs. And so right now, there's tons of shit to do that we can't automate yet. Tons of really important shit to do, right? We got bridges, roads, everything falling apart. We've got a ton of stuff around the country that needs to be maintained that we're not maintaining. And I think that should be, like, goal number one. Like, goal number one is that we should... Yeah, there you go, Amazon Go. Goal number one should be we should rebuild our infrastructure. I've been a visitor of national parks since I was 4 years old, and I'm still climbing around and hiking on trails that were built in the 1930s, and frankly, they're deteriorating because after 100 years of wear and tear, like, these things do wear down, and that's where we're at right now. We're talking about, you know, the 1930s and the New Deal during the Great Depression was a great, you know, Civilian Conservation Corps and the Public Works Association, WPA, were great organizations that did great work on building up that. So fine, like, let's invest in that. Let's tax the rich who frankly can afford it, regardless of what you say. And if they can't afford it, like, if you can't tax the people who make $1 million or more heavily and figure out that they can afford it, then I don't know. Like, Hillary Clinton's tax plan would not have cost me a dime more, and I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It is absolutely ridiculous to me to think that people who are making more than $500,000 a year can't spare any more money in order to make this country a place where we have roads that aren't falling apart, where we have construction projects that get done, where we can build schools and other things like that for people. And is it possible that we're doing things badly? Yeah, it is. And do I think that we have big issues in a lot of these areas? I think the biggest one is paying for healthcare. And so I think that, all right, I can walk up walls now. And so I think that building better infrastructure is something we can do. So DMX, I totally agree with you. The problem is, and I think that this is something that came up in this election, right, is that there are still people who, even though there are new jobs all the time, and there are new jobs opening up every day, you know, speaking as someone who is, you know, making some money doing this, a job that nobody would have thought somebody could do and make a living off of, like, there are thousands of people who make money off of, you know, creating YouTube content. And that's not something anyone would have expected, you know, 10 years ago. Like, that's not a thing. Okay. Exit the level. Okay. Let's go back to here. So there's new jobs every day. The problem is that every time we go through one of these transitions, we increase the amount of knowledge that you have to have in order to do these jobs. We increase the skill level, the average skill level needed by people in order to complete the jobs. And unless we have a massive re-education program, I think we're in trouble. So if your opinion is, like, we should have a massive re-education program, I'm with you. Let's do it. I think in the meantime, we should have people, you know, do the work that we've got lying around. Let's get to it. Let's solve the problems we have, and let's do it with government investments in like real government investments in infrastructure, not giving back money to rich assholes like me. And let's tax me more, or certainly the people who make a lot more than me more. And let's use that money to give jobs to people to rebuild our infrastructure. Let's use that money to give people jobs to rebuild our national park infrastructure, to expand our public spaces and make this a place that people want to make places that people want to visit. And so if there are going to be like great new jobs that people are going to love, if there are going to be like great new things that people are going to be able to do, like let's make sure that while they're doing this, we're educating them, right? And so I was talking to my brother. My brother's a school teacher in Chicago, and I was talking to him, and he was like, what should we do about this? We've got inner city kids who are poorly educated and can't get a job because of biases in hiring in the workplace. And I kind of said, I don't know, but what I really wish is that we had a new civilian conservation corps where like training and other things like that were part of the program, were part of, what people did and had to do all the time, right? So you go to work 5 days a week, and that last day is a new, skill or something else like that you have to learn. You've got something going on where it's a continuing education program for retraining in the skills that we think will be next. And frankly, there are people who are better at reading the economy than me. Again, Thomas Friedman has probably thought about this a lot more than I have, as have a million other people that you can pick, left, right, or center. Let's do that. Like, let's get that. Wait, like in all semis, Mark? That doesn't make sense. Or are you saying like per semi? But yeah, so let's get on the job training. Let's get, trade schools. Let's get all these other things and integrate them into programs where we are investing in the most problematic areas that our country needs. And again, let's do it by not going $500 billion, $5 trillion, $500 billion a year deeper in debt over the next 10 years. Let's not do it by giving back money to people who will just use it to enrich themselves. Because although there's a fair number of decent millionaires and billionaires out there, they're still the exception. And I don't think that we should be depending on Warren Buffett to, give government handouts to people. And I also think that depending on natural resources, which a lot of, places and things and other things like that do in order to be effective, is also not a good long-term strategy. I think that one of the issues, for example, is that wind and solar are now actually completely cost competitive with natural gas, even when you remove all subsidies. You're talking about, in order to build a new natural gas-fired plant, you're talking about something like $65 per megawatt of investment, whereas wind power is, including running costs and everything else like that, is only $45. So you're talking about a world where, alternative energy forms are going to be the norm going forward. That was stupid of me. Did I save here? Okay. Oh, okay. Thomas Friedman, Juan Vasquez is, maybe I got the name wrong. It's a New York Times economist. And I know the New York Times is part of the liberal mainstream media. Let me look up, and make sure I'm talking about the right guy. Thomas Friedman, an American journalist, author, and blah, 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 blah. This guy. So yeah, globalization, right? Like that's the big issue, right? So so the reason I think, Mark, is because 18-wheelers have 18 wheels. Blowouts which lead to crashes are really rare. It's one of the things I actually found out watching ice road truckers is that, when they were driving on some of these ice roads, of course, they would constantly get tires blown out, but they actually could drive with up to like 3. It was only when you had enough of your tires actually blow out that you would end up having to kind of call it off or jump the trailer or something else like that, you know, get it serviced. So yeah. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I will admit that this is just like, I heard him on NPR, and it was kind of funny because I heard the interview on NPR like the day after I did my last kind of really economics focused stream. And I was amused because there was basically all of the things that I said were the things that he was repeating. So it's things like, I don't know if everyone's going to be able to have a job. I don't know what people are going to do. And I agree, like, I think it would be better for people to have a purpose in life. I think that paying people to sit around and you know, do nothing is suboptimal. I think that we should figure out how to do this, and I think we should figure out how to invest in people, and I think we should figure out how to, you know, make successful investments that have, that everyone benefits from. But I think that we should do that not by, and I think we should do that by giving, you know, tax cuts to the needy. I think that we should do that by, you know, cutting the taxes on the lower, you know, income brackets. I feel like we should do that by letting people, you know, looking at things like universal basic income, where yes, we're not talking post-scarcity here. We're talking about, like, you can afford to do something and go to night school at the same, like, you can afford to go to night school so you can get trained in something. I'm talking about, like, you can do some of these things where otherwise, like, I don't know how we help people succeed, because as I look at the world as it's changing, I see it changing towards more automation. I see it changing towards more highly skilled jobs being needed. I see it changing towards, you know, getting rid of and automating a lot of the stupid simple things. And, excuse me, once we do that, I don't know how people continue to have jobs, so. So Juan Vasquez, everyone up to, like, so I want to be clear. Trump's tax plan does more to reduce the taxes paid by the lower income. Well, it depends. If you are not a single parent, it does more to improve the tax situation of those who are at the lowest end of the income brackets. One of the problems, of course, is that his tax plan actually makes taxes higher for single parents because of how he's approaching it. But like, so that's a concern. I have not played Abzu. I don't know who Kinkles is. Or Kinkies, rather. Uh-oh, Kane escaped. I'm having a little bit of understanding of, like, who all the people in this are, but that's okay. Let's go back to Kazakh. Juan Vasquez, I think overall it's worth noting that I think that Trump's plan will do a very little to, so it's worth noting that pretty much everyone under like 24,000, like 28,000 right now pays no taxes anyway. Practically speaking, I think that for married filing jointly, that's more like 34,000, something like that. We're already in a situation where people who are at the low end of the tax bracket pay very little. And I think that Trump's plan is going to make a little bit of difference to people who are at the higher end of that, and reduce their taxes a little bit. The video that's on this that I found most interesting and compelling, unfortunately, is based on what Trump said, which then changed later in the election campaign and since his election. And this is one of the problems: is we could talk about Trump's tax plans all day, but he's had 7 different ones during his campaign and everything else like that, most of which are ill-defined, which makes it really hard to speak about them conclusively. But I think the expectation at the moment is that it's going to be a little bit better for families on the low end, which the Clinton tax plan was planning on maintaining the status quo, and it's going to be way better for people at the high end. So I will probably save, you know, like I said, $20,000 if his plan, if his tax plans go into effect on taxes. And and the average family making $50,000 a year will save $500. So my personal taxes going down when I'm making, figure $250,000 a year, will be as much, like, I will save as much money as 400 families making, you know, $50,000 a year. That doesn't seem fair to me. That's unreasonable. Alright, I don't know what I'm doing in this little room here. Apparently nothing. Oh, I didn't want to go there, did I? No, I did not. So yeah, I am in supportive of improving life for the lowest income families out there. I think that the way we should do it should primarily be via, you know, improving their work expectations and success and everything else like that. But if we have to do it with tax cuts, that's okay with me too. I think that we should not do that at the expense of the American budget. I think that, you know, Clinton made a proposal that was mostly status quo, and the difference for most Trump supporters is going to be pretty minimal. I mean, I think the reality is that most Trump supporters are going to find out they were sold a false bill of goods pretty quickly. We don't know yet because it hasn't been day one of his election, but the people that he's put in his, I mean, this is like, you know, you can look at Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh was a huge Trump supporter during the election. You know, he's a guy who tweeted something like 200 times a day. He made a name for himself basically just on being a guy who supported Trump. That was his role in the election. He's now looking at Trump's picks and saying, like, what the fuck? You know, you're appointing billionaire Goldman Sachs executives to the Treasury. You're appointing, you know, all kinds of other things like that. You are not sticking true to the reasons why we supported you, and I think that's 100% true, and you're going to see more and more of it as time goes on. Because I don't think that Trump had anyone in mind except Trump during his election campaign. Juan Vasquez, I think that being selfish, I've always joked that anyone under, or people have joked, right? Anyone under 25 who's not a liberal is you know, is too cynical, and anyone who's not a conservative by the time they're 35 clearly hasn't had enough success or whatever. His infrastructure investments aren't going to help out the housing market because his infrastructure investment plan, as it is currently written, is not about helping to find or fund new infrastructure investments. It is only in helping investors make more money off of the investments that they've already planned. So the infrastructure investments all of that money will go directly to investors. It will not go to the people building it. It will not go to new projects. It will not go to anything that is necessarily good for, you know, having new developments. It's not going to do anything like that, at least as it was last written. This is the one thing that I looked at and I was like, okay, well, infrastructure, at least that's something I can get behind in theory, right? And then people analyzed his current infrastructure proposals, and they're basically like, just give more money to investors. You know, the rich billionaires who are already getting rich off of it, give them some more money. So, Psycho Mike, I would love to think that Trump was just giving people jobs because they had been supporters of his and it was political favors or anything else like that. Unfortunately, his picks are entirely too consistent for me to believe that. So the reality is that for pretty much every cabinet position, Trump has picked the worst possible person. If you look at his Department of Education pick, if you look at his... you know, his Department of Education pick doesn't believe in public schools. His Department of Labor pick CEO of Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Employs, you know, millions of people at minimum wages and doesn't give benefits, you know, and takes advantage of millions in Medicare payouts from the government every year. You know, all of these people that he's picked are basically the person that you would pick, and his pick for energy secretary is someone who's suing the energy department. His pick for EPA is someone suing the EPA. All of these people are people who literally want to destroy the institutions they are being employed to run. I don't think that you can pick that just based on political favors, because there's got to be somebody in his like inner circle who would benefit from this, right? Like, just look at again, like Tillerson for state, right? Like, there's so many better jobs that he'd be better at. Or look at Carson for Health and Human Services, right? Like, he assigned Carson to HUD, and instead of, or you know, recruited Carson for HUD instead of Health and Human Services. Like, that's a weird thing to do. So, Juan, your hopes are a lot higher than mine at the moment. And so, like, again, I'm not going to fault anyone for voting in their own personal interest, like, on economic grounds. The only thing that I will say is that if you are able to set aside the very significant negative aspects of Trump's campaign that were obvious for quite a while, around, you know, the immigration policies and other things like that, I think that is I would encourage you to re-examine your conscience. Not that I know you personally, obviously, or anything about you, but it's something that I think is really important. And I also think that the other thing to keep in mind is there are a lot of positions that Trump is taking and going to continue taking, which are very scary seeming for a long-term future. So if you are a business owner who wants to be successful in the long term, I think that it is really important to all the way along really think about like how and whether there are things that you should be pushing back on. I think that climate change is real, and I think that, you know, it's dangerous to ignore that. So DMX, I think that keeping I do not cucumber. I actually, at one point, my brother actually collected little collectible spoons for each of them, and so he had a case with like 60 spoons in them, but... Oh no, Leif, that sucks. He bought a condo just to... That's kind of grim. Alright, I apparently have 5 discs so far, so let's go on and analyze disc number 5. What's it gonna tell me? Commander-in-Chief Clay, we, the Strider-Matic unit, will protect the Zane in Africa. Uh-oh, that's trouble. The Zane's the bad guy. We shouldn't protect them. Alright, let's go to Africa then. Yeah, so Psycho Mike, I worry, like, again, this comes back down to why I'm really worried about Trump, right? Is that it doesn't seem like he's just doing... Oh, I can walk on this. Okay. It does not seem to me that he is just doing what is the kind of easy, obvious thing in picking his favorites or anything else like that. It seems like he's actually picking the thing that is worst, and that worries me a lot. I think that, you know, if you look at EPA, right, I feel like any business owner, so you have to look at, there's two things, right? There's the short term, right, where, yes, compliance with environmental regulations cost money. There's also the long term where non-compliance with environmental regulations means we all get asthma, we all die more often, we all, like, can't, you know, we get unclean water, the Earth's temperature heats up massively, you have to move all of your plants that are within 100 miles of the coast inland, and, you know, all of the Great Lakes rise up, and, like, half of downtown Chicago where all the train tracks is on goes underwater. Like there's so many bad things that can happen as a result in the long term of significant climate change. And we're in a situation right now where, and I know these trends get like weird when you're talking about these things, but you know, we are currently at a spot where our you know, carbon parts per million is going up at, like, you know, rates that are unprecedented. Before we were going up something like 2.8 ppm per year, and in between 2014 and 2016, we've gone up by more like 4. So we went from 396 to 400 to 404 between 2014, 2015, 2016, November to November to November. Like that rate is twice what it was the year before that. And maybe this is just a short-term trend. There's been like spikes in this trend before, but if you graph this data, it does not look good. And if you look at that in a long-term trend, again, like you have to think about this not just as yourself, as your own business, or, you know, the next 5 years or the next 10 years, and instead look at, like, am I still going to be able to run my business in 10 years? Are there still going to be people who want to buy my products in 10 years? Are we going to drown half the population of the US? Are we going to, I mean, obviously people aren't going to literally drown in something that goes up at, you know, an inch a year or something like that, but there's, like, significant parts of the country that are going to suddenly become underwater. There are significant changes that are going to happen, and thinking that your business is going to succeed and maintain its state trivially in that situation, I think is naive, and I think it's really important to consider these kind of long-term effects as we look at these things, right? So, and the other thing is, you know, if you look at, you know, deportations, you look at immigration policies, you look at these things, I think that deporting, like, you know, 22 million people, which is one of the things that Trump said, again, who knows what he actually wants to do, but deporting 22 million people in the next few years would be desperately, desperately bad for the U.S. You know, people are always talking about the illegal immigrants are taking our jobs. They're not the jobs that I would do. They're not the jobs that most of us would do. They are, like, you know, illegal immigrants are working shitty jobs for shitty pay with long hours that most of us would not work because that's all they can get, and they do it. So, hello, Cowdizzle. Oh God, Nestle. Oh God. So Juan, I think that, practically speaking, the sun doesn't change by enough, but I think that you can ignore for the moment everything about, oh, that's weird. I don't know what I got hit by. The reality is that the sun is billions and billions of years. Yes, 1 billion years old. The sun is 1 billion years old. No, the sun is billions and billions of years old. It does not do anything quickly. And so I think that you can essentially treat the sun as a constant during our lifetimes, because practically speaking, although it has highs and lows, they are actually something that we understand pretty well. Solar output is something you can measure. You can measure it in watts. You can measure it in all kinds of other things. And overall, the changes that we're talking about in our lifetime from the solar power or like its influence on our atmosphere alone are things that we do understand, and we measure them pretty well. And they don't change much because the sun is a massive incandescent gas, a gigantic nuclear furnace where hydrogen is turned into helium at a temperature of millions of degrees. The sun is hot, the sun is not a place that we could live, but here on Earth there'd be no life without the light it gives. And so, like, you know, when you look at it that way, you have to realize that when we're talking about something like that, yes, solar output varies. Yes, there are, you know, warms and colds in the sun's solar output. Overall, its effect on the Earth, the variation in that is tiny compared to the total amount. I'm glad I'm not the only. I'm glad that someone else picked up on it, Mark. I was a little bit concerned that I would be the only one who realized what I was doing there, but makes me happy. Sweden has excellent internet, absolutely excellent. Most of it comes from what's it called? Not telecom. Oh, god damn it! I should know the name. Anyway, yes, overall, Sweden has great internet. Most of the Nordics do, kind of surprisingly, given that they're somewhat disconnected, but there's actually a Google data center in one of the Nordic countries. As usual, it's, you know, big open space, cheap water and power are the things that you want for a data center, so. Yeah, Norway too. Norway, Finland, Sweden, they all have pretty good internet. I don't know about the cost, I can only speak to kind of the effectiveness of it, because that's what my day job is. My day job is actually, I work for video delivery for YouTube on the internet. My opinions are my own and not those of my employer, but so video infrastructure and video delivery are things that I know pretty well. My team actually works on Google's video quality report, so you can go to google.com/get/video quality report, and you'll see reports on, like, you know, whether the ISP you're using is HD rated and whether other ISPs in your area are and other things like that. And that's what my team works. So, yeah, so that song is They Might Be Giants. And I think the title is just The Sun is a Massive Incandescent Gas, isn't it? I'm not sure. But in any case, it's They Might Be Giants, John and John. That particular song I learned from Tiny Toons a long time ago, so. Oh, that's right! Mark knows Sweden pretty well, I think, right? Why does the sun shine? Yes, that is correct. You're actually totally right. Thank you. I guess someone's doing gigabit wireless deployment, gigabit-capable wireless deployments in Boston now, so Swizzle or Swazzle, something like that. But yes, the sun is a massive incandescent gas, a gigantic nuclear furnace where hydrogen is built into helium at a temperature of millions of degrees. The sun is hot, the sun is not a place that we could live, but here on Earth there'll be no light without the light it gives. The sun is hot, the sun is hot, the sun is far away. I don't know Orcas. I didn't. It's only targeted at building managers, so I assume they're doing high frequency point-to-point transmission, but I don't know. But it's basically you install kind of a receiver on your roof, and then you do and then you have like repeaters that are installed inside the building, which end up doing receiving from the roof. So dizzle swizzle. Yeah, I can check it out because it was some Facebook ad, and so they took a Starry. It's called Starry, gigabit capable internet for everybody. Starry internet, starry.com. All right, so let me load up my recent save state here. What was it? This one? Yeah. I know. You are 100% correct. But yeah, so I think that if you are questioning whether climate change is real, I recommend some more consideration of the science. And if you are able to vote for Trump out of personal interest, at least acknowledging that it's personal interest and that, you know, he has appointed a cabinet full of scumbags is definitely a step in the right direction. And I can totally, again, I'm not going to criticize anyone for doing something out of personal interest. If you have judged that this is the right decision for you, it's the right decision for you, and nothing that I do should change that. But I do recommend, you know, if there are things that Trump is doing that you can look at and say maybe this isn't a good idea, join in support with your brethren on the other side of the aisle and speak out against it, because I am really honestly worried about a lot of things that could go wrong. I understand that a lot of people don't care about the progressive liberals, and I totally understand the need for, you know, new and improved successes in the world of the middle class. I do. And I think that, you know, the Democratic Party did a poor job of selling what their plans were there. And I hope that Trump can deliver on a quarter of what he's promised, which would be a massive thing. So. I don't believe that, Juan. I think the problem... Well, no, actually, I do believe that. The problem is that the majority of his supporters don't seem to have an understanding of a lot of things. I mean, I think that, you know, I've appreciated our conversation a lot, but it started off with you claiming that there is some evidence that millions of people voted illegally, and I think that that's a complete, effectively a complete lie, and so I worry. I worry when Trump gets on a national stage and makes claims that are complete lies, that he doesn't get called on by people who are, you are clearly one of this, I mean, Cowdizzle and you and other people who have stopped by here are among, I've interacted with a lot of dumb supporters on Twitter, don't get me wrong. I've gotten a lot of Twitter fights over the past couple months. And so I totally appreciate someone who can be rational and speak rationally about things, but that's not a fact. There has been massive numbers of studies, dozens, hundreds of studies and meta-analysis of them into whether illegal immigrants vote, and the answer is some. I'm not going to be one of the people who claims like there are only 16 cases of voter fraud ever. Like, that's bullshit, and I know it. But it's definitely not a millions of voters problem. In hundreds of thousands of votes analyzed in, you know, dozens of cases across basically all of the 50 states. It's nowhere near that scale, and so that worries me a lot. The rude Dankstorm. If someone can present evidence of 10,000, so I believe, I will even go so far as to say that I understand. So I got in a long back and forth on this topic on Twitter several times now, and I actually have a really good kind of reference that I can dig up. It's I think like a New York University of some kind did a study of basically every case they could find over the course of like 60 years of investigations of voter fraud based on claims from somebody, and basically, as far as my read on it was, there is some evidence of, so there's lots of evidence of voter registration, which is inappropriate. Very little evidence of voter fraud. The biggest reason for voter registration, which is inappropriate, is just like people who are incorrectly told information by ill-informed election officials. A lot of it is kind of, you know, of the form, you know, you're completing your citizenship paperwork, you know, you've completed all of their courses and everything else like that to become a citizen, and we're going to give you a big pile of paperwork, one of which is the paperwork for registering to vote, and we didn't mention to you that, by the way, you can't turn this paperwork in until you finish your citizenship, and other things like that. There's just very little evidence of anyone who is doing this intentionally. Dragon, yeah, I was gonna say, there's probably 10,000 different people streaming right now. If you are finding my stream boring, like, go find somebody else, man. That's cool. Oh, I have a way to heal now? Oh man, look at all these spells that I've got that I'm not using. I'm gonna, like, use some of this jump. How do I do that? Okay, now I can jump higher. That doesn't feel very good, so. Well, I mean, Cowdizzle, you gotta keep in mind, you gotta wrap everything in the fact that I am doing it, so. Not much, Eric. I am talking about the terrible political climate, as far as I'm concerned, in which we find ourselves, and I expressing my concerns in the best way that I can. Yeah, I'm just making it harder. This particular level is getting me a little bit, so. Dragonflies, you were being mean to me, so don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, and no one will be a dick to you. You want to go find somebody cool to watch? Go ahead and find somebody cool to watch. They won't have a hat that's nearly as cool as mine, which has a propeller on the top, but, you know, that's okay. If you want somebody cooler, go find somebody cooler. I don't care. We need to get rid of the Electoral College. And I don't say that because I'm a liberal who lost. I'm saying that because it's stupid. It does not make sense to me that someone, like, so one of the ideas behind the Electoral College, the thing that people defend it with most is that, you know, there's no voting power outside of the cities. If you just go with a popular vote, like, there's no voting power outside of cities. That's bullshit. The reality is that while it is certainly the case that, you know, 50% of the country can be found in liberal enclaves in a small number of cities, there are also a number of, 50% of the population can be found in a small set of liberal enclaves, something like, I don't know, 38, 50 counties, something like that. It is also the case that not everyone in those counties votes for liberals. It is also the case that not everyone in those counties is going to vote the same. So you're not going to be able to just count on, like, oh, I will campaign in LA and New York and Chicago and be done, because the reality is that those places are just as, like, purple as any place else in the country. By ignoring the reality that our country is way more purple than it is, by having this red state, blue state divide, so Juan, I think in 50 years, I think that it will absolutely be the case that the country will be more urbanized. I think that if you look at the projections for how urbanization is likely to proceed, you're likely to continue to see that happen. But so right now, a Wyoming voter gets 3 times as many, votes in the electoral system as someone who's from, like, you know, Massachusetts or California or something else like that. The voting power of someone who is in Wyoming is significantly stronger. And I don't think oops, I wanted to use that, which I did not do. Let's do that again. I don't know why you're even here, Dragon. Now you're not. Problem solved. And so, like, the idea of continuing to, alright, I failed to use that appropriately. So let's, yeah. So DMX 99, yeah, but, like, those states differ. So yes, if you could somehow convince all of Texas to, so here's the thing, right? As it is now, basically in every state, if you disagree with the majority, your vote is not, practically speaking, worth a whole lot. Oh crap! I reused the save state. I didn't mean to. All right, let's see if I can. And I think that's bad. I think that's bad for local elections. I think that's bad for lots of reasons. And I think that we should get rid of that as a system that we are all just kind of, like, you know, built around and dependent on. All right, let's try this again with less sucking. No life that time, huh? Oh wait, I actually have, like, a life spell I can use. A life spell I can use. Hey, gaming lawyer! How's it going? Yeah, so whenever gaming lawyer is here, we actually have a special routine that we gotta do. We've always gotta pull out Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk.
Brian Wilson, Texas Law Hawk! Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk! Talons of justice! Due process! Do wheelies! It's hot out here! Brian Wilson!
El Halcon de la Ley.
Brian Wilson!
The Texas Law Hawk!
Later, guys!
Alright, so that's Brian Wilson, the Texas Law Hawk. Due process, do wheelies. So, Paco, Is it insensitive? Possibly. It is absolutely the first thing that I talked about, and in attracting attention to talk about issues that I think are important in the world, I will sometimes use titles which are intentionally provocative. So, for example, when I had a stream that was all about Donald Trump, I named it "Please Don't Elect Donald Trump." In this particular case, earlier this evening, we were talking about the Turkish gunman who shot and killed the Russian ambassador earlier today, and how it affects my fears around the world we're entering into. We're looking at a world where I see an almost too perfect example of an assassination attempt, not even an assassination attempt, an assassination in a essentially fascist country, and I fear for the United States to become very similar. I fear for an environment where we're doing that, and I think that a lot of us have forgotten Aleppo. I think that a lot of, maybe not the people here, maybe not the people who are important, but I think that we're looking at, a situation that looks very similar to the start of World War I. You're looking at a situation in a country that has is basically moved entirely away from freedom of the press, from freedom of academia, from freedom of everything else like that, and is now creating this environment of fear that we're all going to be living in and dependent on, and that scares me. I think that that's a scary thing that should scare us all. I do realize that, and I think that is like absolutely a very huge difference between the World War I scenario. But I think it's something that scares me because, again, and I said this earlier, it feels so intentionally provocative given the environment, given everything else like that, that it's hard for me to see it as anything other than that. All right, so let's use my medical here. I'll toss this at 4. And so when I look at that yes, in this particular situation, it's not an archduke, it's not the king, the heir to the throne, it's not anything else like that, but it is someone who is it's a situation where we have a lot of can I do this jump here? Maybe not. And so in that environment, like I am, yeah, so I don't know. That's why I'm, so when I say don't forget Aleppo, another thing that I did is, I commented a couple weeks ago that, I realized that I had been a tool of Russian propaganda. There's a video on my channel kind of summarizing why that is, if you missed it. I realized that, and as a result, I actually went back and I took the funds that I had received from Russia Today, which is, of course, a Russian propaganda news channel, and I donated them to the Syrian American Medical Society, SAMS, for them to use in whatever way they see fit, because I felt like that was the least that I could do to make the world a better place and make up for my, personal private gain from Russia's, being part of Russia's propaganda machine, and wanted to make what little difference that I could. Alright. There we go. I don't know, I've never seen an iconic scarf. Yeah, so Cowdizzle, at least on Android, if you tap on the chat button at the top of the screen, it will make the chat go away when you're in sideways mode, I think. So Juan Vasquez, I had a viral video. So I had a video called Hawk vs. Drone, and Hawk vs. Drone was a viral video that was bought by Russia Today for them to use on their channel. Excuse me. And they paid me $500 for a license for them to use on their channel. Alright, now we have to go to LA. Yeah, no, that's fine. So the video, you can check out the video on my channel. It's got a link to the Hawk vs. Drone video that pops up and everything else like that. But basically, like, they paid, yeah, so, I mean, I got, in total I made about, $2,400 in ad revenue and about $4,000 in licensing revenue from the video. So it is absolutely nice that I was able to get something out of it. But unfortunately, like, I realized that I was supporting Russian propagandists, and at the time, it's not that I actually realized that, I knew that. I knew that RT was just like a tool of Russian propaganda. Like, I knew that all along. It was not a shock, but it was something that I didn't really care about until I realized that Russian propaganda was actually having a serious impact in US politics. And at that point, I felt like I needed to do something to change my personal involvement in it. So I made a donation to the Syrian American Medical Society of $500. Google will match my donations because they're does an employer match of 100%. So as a result of Russia Today giving me $500, 2 years later, I gave the Syrian American Medical Society $1,000, which is pretty much the best fuck you I can think of to Russia at the moment. So. Alright. But yeah, so I think the Electoral College needs to die. I think that the idea of, as we get revenge for me. Oh no, my girlfriend died. So my biggest feeling is that, like, as we become a more and more urban society, this will continue to become more and more of a problem. And I think that effectively disenfranchising people who live in populous states is silly. Van, I think that your idea of... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, now I don't know what to do. Oh. Okay, I guess I can destroy this glass, despite what he says. Key number 5 acquired! Yes! So, I think that it's, so far the electors have just changed based on population, and, like, changing based on population... Oh, god damn it. I don't think I can get out of here. Maybe if I use, like, jump or something? Alright, I've got to go back, I guess. Alright, let's do this again. Sorry. I didn't drop a save after it. So, Juan, I think that I don't know. I just don't... I don't buy the disenfranchisement of more populous states is particularly worth anything. Oh, thanks, Nixie. I'll remember that for next time. Alright. So yes, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna open this door. Oh, I dropped a bunch of frames at some point. I don't know when that was, sorry. He's gonna tell me it can't be broken by human power. So he's gonna be wrong. So I think that, I don't see a need to enfranchise rural voters more than their population. You know, people talk about that all the time, and I don't understand the reason for that. I think that my vote has effectively been meaningless for the entirety of everything except for when I voted in 2004 when I was in New Hampshire. Beyond that, it's been completely meaningless. I've never lived in a state where I felt like my vote has mattered. It makes no difference on the national stage, and in any state that I'm in, the balance of power is so far in one direction it doesn't matter. And so, with that being the case, I just don't see that this is something where I feel there's an obvious need to, you know, over-enfranchise rural voters. I mean, Van Helsing, that's obviously an easier approach, but it's still over-enfranchising based on the, like, senatorial representation, which was always designed to be more rewarding towards smaller states. That was the whole intent. And I just, you know, oh, did I want to go to Kazakh? I don't think I did. No, I want to go to Australia. That's right, I'm not old enough to vote. You have it in one. And Juan, I 100% agree, right? So as I look around, you know, I will fully admit that in a campaign of change, the Democrats ran a candidate of the status quo. In a campaign of change, the Republicans somehow, against their will, ended up with Donald Trump. None of them were happy about it, but he did win the election, and now none of them really know what to do about it, which is, you know, another problem. Alright, so let's drop this jump in here. No, that didn't work so well, but that's okay. Yeah, so I think that we are currently at a time of great change, and in what ways we want to change is absolutely a decision that we are going to have to make. Go after Matic, it's all his scheme. All right. Oops, I was trying to slide, not jump. I failed. Oh god. But yeah, so as I look around, I definitely see that I mean, we were offered more than 2 candidates. We were offered something like, you know, 18 Republican candidates, and we were offered at least 3 different Democratic candidates, even if you don't count Vermin Supreme, who is clearly the best candidate around. It's not that there were no other options. It's that, you know, the Democrats thought Clinton was the best, and we have a practically speaking, a 2-party system. 2-party system isn't going to change without massive electoral reform. We would have to switch to IRV or something else like that in order for anything other than a 2-party system to work. That's not to say that that isn't a good idea, but there's been no political will towards doing that at this point. So, I tried to catch Matic, but I failed. He is at the Red Dragon. Yeah, gaming lawyer. The overall, and I think the reality here is that alright, Red Dragon. I guess I just get to go to the Red Dragon. Yes. So I think one of the biggest issues is I think that hold on, let me think here for a second. Yeah, our election system has effectively been co-opted. Our election system has been co-opted by a set of Republican, governors and state legislatures and other things like that that are dedicated to staying in power. I think that we really do need a nonpartisan way of assigning, voting districts, targeting compact and representative districts. I think that and this is not actually just Republicans. I look at Illinois for examples of completely terrible gerrymandering. We had it just as bad in a heavily Democratic state. So I don't like, these places are all places that are there's gerrymandering and terrible behavior around kind of disenfranchising people everywhere. I think that voter ID laws and other things like that are absolutely terrible for democracy. I think they're against the principles of the United States. I mean, I am consistently amazed when I look at what people have to go through in order to vote. There's actually a cute New York Times mini game that was kind of fashioned off the Oregon Trail, and so you had to decide okay, you're a white software engineer in California, do you want to vote? Oh, cool! It took 60 seconds and was super easy for you. Now you're a black woman working in inner city Baltimore. Okay, well, they got rid of your polling place, so now you have to take a bus all the way across town, and they added new, voter ID requirements, but didn't document them, so now you have to go back to your house and other things like that. Michael Moore is a big piece of shit. I agree. But I think the biggest thing that I look at is that we are in a time of change, and I think that we have a responsibility to be respectful of those who are suffering from that. And frankly, I think that in many cases, Trump's voters will be among them. You can look at things like, the woman whose house was foreclosed on over a 38-cent late, or they attempted to foreclose on her house over a 38-cent late payment, and Trump made this person part of his cabinet. It kind of tells you the story of what the environment that we're dealing with is from some politicians. So, damn it. Or chaos. Driving is a privilege, not a right. In my opinion, I don't feel that you should. I think that the biggest issue is that being required to produce ID. So I am 100% in favor of ID in order to vote. I think that would work fine so long as we have a national ID which is as easy to register for as the Selective Service, which has no cost to the user of the ID. The Selective Service is basically a form you go to online, and you put in your name, your address, and your social security number, and they register you in the Selective Service. I think that doing it by mail or by phone or something like that is obviously kind of has to be up there because there are people who don't have the internet, but in general, I think that that's an appropriate level of requirement for people to be able to vote. I don't think, the reality is that in the current environment, voter ID laws are used along with other voter suppression techniques to intimidate people into not voting. So in a particular district which implemented voter ID, you had a massive reduction, or you had a statistically significant reduction in the overall voter turnout, even though of the people that they surveyed who didn't turn out, 97% of them had valid voter ID, because the documentation that was put out there by the opposition party was full of lies. So when you don't have voter ID, you obviously can't lie about what the voter ID requirements are. So if you don't do that, then you can avoid that entire area of disenfranchisement. And so I think that the other thing is that it has proven impossible even for people who clearly have demonstrated their citizenship and their residency and other things like that to vote in some cases. And when that's the case, I think that it's evidence of suppression and not other things. I mean, I think that presenting the reality is that this is just such a it's a non-problem on any statistically significant scale, So the only, like, the practically speaking, there is no study that has ever found meaningful interference in elections by non-citizen voting, except for one poorly done study which used crappy data and extrapolated from 5 single votes out of an entire, like, database put together by Harvard in order to extrapolate, like, something like 2.8 million votes across the country. In a survey that couldn't have selected for those 5 votes anyway, because it was intentionally designed to not select people who weren't citizens. But DMX, getting a driver's license isn't a requirement to live your life. So, yes, I agree. Getting a driver's license is more intimidating. I will say that getting a letter that says you can be jailed for showing up with the wrong kind of ID at a voting booth is more intimidating than going to the DMV. At the DMV, it is never, no one ever says to you, you will be arrested if you lie at the DMV. This might technically be true in some cases. If you commit perjury as far as filling out a form or something else like that, you could theoretically be prosecuted and arrested, but no one tells you that that's what's going to happen. In the case of voter ID laws, that is something that people have been told is going to happen, and as a result, people are less willing to vote. I'm not sure I'm convinced of the positive intentions of people who want them. I think that it's just an attempt at controlling the electorate, but I'll give you that in some cases people are good. But yes, primarily I believe that voter ID laws are political warfare and are like, practically speaking, I don't think that they achieve what they say they're intended to do, and I don't think that they are necessary, because I don't think that the thing that they say they're intended to do is necessary, is a requirement. Okay, I don't know how to kill you. I don't seem to be making any progress. Do I have to use the spark thing? Hello, Philly! Only when used properly, that's right. Okay, I guess I'm gonna use my medical. And then... oh, no, I have nothing. Oh. Alright, so let's... we'll use fire, I guess. Yeah, this level is hard though, so. Oh, okay, I have to hit him while he's in the air to turn him into this bouncing thing. Okay, I'm gonna try this level over. Alright. So let's use my jump. Nope, I failed. So yeah, I think that voter disenfranchisement is silly. I also think, for the record, personal belief, and this is going to be one of those, like, I am a super bleeding heart liberal. I don't think that there's any reason that illegal aliens or illegal immigrants shouldn't vote, or immigrants shouldn't vote. Non-citizens, let's go with that. I don't think there's any reason that non-citizens shouldn't be able to vote in this country. If you want to tell me, like, you know, we need to fix the non-citizen voting problem, my answer would be, like, how about we fix it by making it not a problem? And this is something that you can do on a state-by-state basis. There is no federal mandate that voting has to be limited to citizens. In fact, until the late 1800s, it wasn't. So you could have each state define whether some non-citizen could vote. Yeah. So I think that I think that's what we should do. Is that we should allow non-citizen voting. Yeah, sure. If they live here, I think people should have to live here. I think that if you can demonstrate residence in the United States, and then you should be able to vote. I think that felons should be able to vote. I think that anyone who like has a certainly in Cambridge there's a participatory budgeting component where like about $700,000 of the budget of the city is decided by people who live in the city, and you just have to live in the city and be over the age of 12 in order to participate. And I think that we should have more like that. So yeah, I don't care about what other countries do. I think that we should allow anyone who's living in the US to vote. That is my opinion. But this is me being a bleeding heart, like, asshole liberal. I also believe that we should abolish the Second Amendment. I also believe in a lot of things that are not believed by the vast majority of Democrats. So this is not like as a Democrat I believe this. This is like, this is my personal belief, is that this is something we should do. I don't care about their standard, I care about my standard. My standard is that people who live in a country should be able to vote in that country. Also, if you want to talk about a double standard, why can I vote in a European election if I live there and they can't vote in ours? They can't vote in ours if I live here. I think voting by residence is a perfectly reasonable thing to me. One Shot Raid. Hello, Nightmare Tiger and Devin Rosa and Stephanie Walton and Red Ranger. Thanks for the sub, William Ballard. One Shot Girl, aka Julie. One Shot Girl's another stream here on the YouTube gaming platform. A beautiful lady. And bringing her audience in here, the Sniper Squad coming in with the One Shot Raid. Man, there's a lot of you. Tonight, folks, we are talking about Strider. We are talking about voter regulations and voter IDs. So if you don't like politics, you're probably in the wrong place. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you all here tonight. Thank you very much, Bruce Riggs, Dan Anderson, Captain Slick, 2 people, 1. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this last level here. I'm fighting against Red Dragon, I believe. Thank you very much, the Krasi Empire. I'm a noob, Force Gun. Welcome back. Those of you who don't know, I'm the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday at 9:15, whatever the frick I feel like every Friday at 9:15. Thank you all for joining us with that one-shot raid. Thank you very much, Drake and everybody else. Oh, thanks so much, DeFaro1. I appreciate it, and I still have to show your donation from the other night that got you a nice, the nice Christmas tree ornament to the team of buffering. So,
on behalf of
hey,
the
Donald.
OSN and our fearless leader.
Thank you very much, OSN. Hashtag DeFaro1. Do a nice thank you for DeFaro1 for that donation, my friends. Yeah, playing the classics. We've made it pretty good so far. Unfortunately, this level's giving me a little bit of crap, but thank you very much for the DeFaro1. And yeah, any friend of Julie's is a friend of mine as well. So thank you all for being here. Like I said, we're talking politics tonight, as I do so often recently. For those of you who don't know, in the U.S. today, the Electoral College voted. The Electoral College being the somewhat arcane way that presidents are elected in this country. And so Donald Trump is now the official president-elect of the United States. And thank you all for being here. Chris Martinez, 1234, Crazy Alex, Kieran, good to see you, Jerome Charles. And thank you very much for being here, Drake Fontenot. I need to like hit this purple guy and stuff, but I'm not very good at it. But yeah, so you can all, if you are interested in knowing something about me, I am a YouTube software engineer, have been working at YouTube for the past several years. I am also a parent of 2 children, 19 and 15. I have a cool hat that has a propeller on it that spins, and playing some Strider tonight. And talking politics, as I so often do. So I am sorry, Swan, for allowing the raid to interrupt our oh-so-thrilling conversation, but I wanted to say hi and thank you to all of the people who are here. And so if you folks have a question for me, yeah, I'm not an arcane mage here. I've worked on boring government websites before. I actually used to work for a company called Metacarta. Metacarta was a software development company that worked on a geo-search product. So our job was to take the 6 million documents that agencies have, whether they were oil companies or government agencies, and take them all and index them on a map. So you could just drag around the map and do a search and everything else like that, and find it. So King Our Kid, I think the reality is that the Electoral College didn't protect us from California, it protected us from the will of the people. I mean, Hillary obviously can't win as president now, and I don't think that she'll try again, given that she did this in 2008 and didn't win, and she did it again this time and didn't win. I was a Hillary supporter in the primaries, and I would not support her again in another primary in 2020 is what it's going to be. As someone else pointed out, I think the slogan, my personal slogan for the 2020 election is going to be "Hindsight is 2020." And I will not be voting for Hillary again, not because I do not think she is an excellent politician. I do think she's an excellent politician, and I really wish she would have been elected because I think she would have been much better for our country, especially the most affected people in our country. But I do think that it is the case that she cannot be elected in this country, so unfortunately. So, oh, that's nice. Do you work, Bruce? Do you work with the EPA at all? I actually have a friend who works in the EPA. He works on geo and mapping stuff. So one of the things that I did for a long time was work on open source mapping software. A program called OpenLayers is something that I helped found. And so we worked on taking information from tools like Esri, ArcGIS, and other things like that, and making it available inside open source tools. Hello, Matthew. Vote for Kanye West. But King Rock Kid, we don't vote in this country based on land area. That's silly. Like 80% of the counties in the U.S. is such a silly thing to go with. Like, let's imagine, look at Alaska, right? Alaska has 7 counties, but most of them have 4 people. Is that a good thing? Yeah, Bruce Riggs. I told my friend who works at the EPA. I said hey, dude, Trump just got elected. Send me a resume. You need to be looking for another job now. Well, thank you very much, Damien. I love my hat as well. Yeah, so those of you who haven't seen my hat, it actually says Noogler on it. It is a hat that I got when I started at Google. And Kanye is crazy. His recent shit is crazy. I mean, Michelle Obama, I hope doesn't run. I hope she goes off and does something awesome, but I don't really like the whole kind of former first ladies as presidents ideal. Oh, we have to destroy 2 systems somewhere. Going up to 2, okay. Oops, sorry, wrong button. Alright, here we go. Well, thank you very much, Kyle. I appreciate it. Alright, so let's go up. Force gun, let's not talk about killing people. I think it's a bad idea in general. It's especially a bad idea when the person is the president-elect. Secret Service doesn't dig that too much, and neither do I. So I totally dig the general approach of I am very frustrated by some of the negative rhetoric around Trump's campaign and around his campaign promises and around his supporters. But I don't think that we should talk about killing people just because of that. It's a dangerous road to head down, and I would discourage it in general. I mean, I think the reality, King Rock Kid, is that most of the scandals are manufactured. It is certainly true that Hillary has been the target of a series of ongoing, target of a series of ongoing smear campaigns from the Republicans for more than 30 years. And so I think in a lot of cases it's very difficult to analyze Clinton's sins in the context of what they actually are, as opposed to what they seem like they are, because we've been indoctrinated to that. And as someone who has been as we look at this election where indoctrination played such a serious role, whether it's in fake news or fake reports or other things like that, I think it's really important to realize that there's a lot out there that we can, yes, look at and say, I feel this way, but unless you can really examine your biases in the way that I certainly can't, and I doubt most people can, it's probably pretty risky to kind of take that very principled view, because I don't fully buy that we can analyze ourselves very well. Oh, thank you very much, Matthew Johnson. Yeah, I'll definitely pass that on. I haven't talked to them yet, but I did give a big thank you once I saw kind of the stats that they were showing me about it being better, so. I mean, Kanye and Michelle Obama are 2 very different candidates. If you think you would support either one of them, I'm a little bit confused, but Kanye's gone off the deep end, and I'm actually kind of worried about him as far as whether he is doing okay. I don't know anything about him personally, but his kind of approach to his concerts where he shows up late and then plays for a very short period of time and does these other things is very concerning to me. Watch out, here are you. I mean, Kanye is definitely hanging out with Trump. I'm not trying to say otherwise. Is that it? Is that all I had to do here? I have it, Captain Slick. I wrote it down. Disguise, I do. The behavior doesn't make sense otherwise, right? Like, if people are paying for a concert, showing up an hour late, you know, playing 3 songs, then going into a political rant for 45 minutes and then bailing is weird. My favorite games are Mega Man 3 and Super Mario Bros. 3. I've played both on stream several times before, actually, and I dig them both. I'm a big fan of the NES classics, but I'm also a big fan of just about anything retro. I enjoyed Bubble Bobble when I played it with a friend. I love many of the Mega Mans, and of course I'm a big Mario Brothers fan, but I also enjoy Sonic, Sonic and Knuckles / Sonic 3. I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be. Favorite Final Fantasy, I've really only played 2 of them. I played 7 and 8, but nothing else, so I'm not really good at, you know, offering a nuanced or reasonable perspective there. But I liked both of them approximately equally. I played a lot more 8 on my own, so I have a lot more experience with it, but... Alright. Well, thank you, Alex. I've never played Chrono Trigger. I never had a SNES, so I had a NES, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Wii U, and now I have a PS4, but only because I borrowed it from a friend. And so as a result, I never really played the Super Nintendo. I never really played the Sega, the N64, or other things like that. So there's a lot of games in that space that I just never really got into, and I think Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross were 2 of them that a bunch of people have mentioned to me, but I've never just done them. And since they're like RPG games, I haven't done them on stream. I thought I destroyed 2 systems. We'll see. And so the biggest thing for me is that I haven't done a lot of RPGs on stream because RPGs take a long time and I only stream twice a week for about 4 hours, so I don't end up doing a lot of I don't end up having enough time to really do and get into RPGs, so uh-oh. This seems like bad news bears. Well, so here's the thing, King Rock Kid. Racism is a little bit more complex than that in reality. So one of the things to realize is that, 1, it's entirely possible to be racist without being a bigot. And so personally speaking, I am a racist. I've taken unconscious bias tests, and they confirm that I have a lot of, you know, racist ideas in my head that are not intentional and that I don't necessarily act on, but certainly are there. I think that one of the things that, you know, Trump has said, which is the most racist recently, his comments about the Mexican judge in his Trump University case were very much racist. Saying that, implying that someone can't do their job because, like, so first of all, implying that someone can't do their job because of their race is racist. That's just a fact of the matter. It is. The other thing, though, is that in addition to kind of that implication, he also... Alright, so I'm going to start over with 1. We'll just save to slot 1 here. In addition to the implication there, he also... Oh, crap. His like, you know, he's talking about a guy who was born in Indiana and saying that because he's a Mexican, he can't, you know, be fair about judging the trial. Like, to assume that anyone who has Mexican heritage has family who is illegal immigrants and would react to Alright, sorry. Jose can correct my wordings here. I go to I nominate Jose as my official correct my speecher. But yeah, so I think Trump was being racist when he said that, both because he assumed that someone who was a second-generation American could not be reasonable in doing their jobs simply because of their racial background, and because he assumed that, and because that assumption was basically based on an idea that someone who had Mexican heritage would have illegal immigrants in their family. So being outspoken, but explain to me how a judge should be, like a judge's opinion should be affected by being outspoken against illegal immigrants, if it's not based on his race. Like, unless you're saying that all judges are against speaking out against illegal immigrants, in general, judges are in favor of enforcing the law. That's how and why they become judges. To try and indicate that, oh, okay, so I can just slide under him. Alright, jump, go on, jump. Alright, jump. There we go. Oh, so I am racist. I fully admit that. I have to fight hard against racial prejudices. So let's go with that. I think you're drawing the prejudice versus racist line. I draw that as the racist versus bigoted line. I think that's a matter of terminology, but it's not. It's whatever. So Rain, so one, I don't agree that most judges are more racist than the average person. Yeah, I think that, like, most judges are racist is a kind of, that's a pretty odd claim that I would love to see some evidence of. You can pick whatever standard of racism you want to use, but you gotta have to provide some evidence if I believe that. So I will say that as someone who values intellectual honesty and is willing to be self-critical in a lot of cases, I put a lot of time and effort into making sure that I am not accusing someone of something based on some kind of prejudices. And whenever I see people use the term SJW, when it's not someone who I consider to be kind of in my in-circle of you know, people who kind of are using it semi-ironically, anyone who uses SJW as a pejorative, that is, I found a lot of cases where that is simply either ignorance, which is possible, or is evidence of pretty significant bias against a lot of people. So Juan, I am not going to I'm not going to claim that that was not impossible. At the time, it was certainly not what Trump said publicly, and I think that that's an after-the-fact rationalization if that's the route, if that's what was said. I don't think that that's a thing. Good night, Flame Gremlin. Thanks for hanging out, and good job arting. I am a big fan of arting. So yeah, so Trump is kind of textbook racist in a lot of ways. I think that his you know, Cinco de Mayo, like eating a taco bowl Twitter post, also racist. His comments in 1989 in an interview with Brian Williams about, you know, blacks getting everything in this country and how he really wishes he were a black because they are so much better off. These are kind of classic racist comments that he's had again and again. And this doesn't even count things like him, you know, being investigated by the Department of Justice for using, you know, racial discrimination factors in housing in the 1970s, which you can say like he wasn't in charge or whatever else like that, but his organization, which he was the manager of at the time, fought hard against kind of legal discovery and did everything in their power to kind of fight back against those rulings. So I think that at some point you have to kind of look at it in its whole context and say, you know, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and it smells like a duck, then, you know, it's pretty much a duck. If you don't recognize institutional racism, then you don't recognize racism. And it's okay to say that, but you're wrong. That's what racism is. Racism is the institutional, you know, negative effect of, oh, what? Why is my sword over there? Shit. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you know the answer to that one, Jose. Ooh, okay. We're gonna figure out what let's look at some SJWism or whatever we're looking at here. We could all watch it together. I'm down with this.
What's up, guys? I'm Joey Salads. I'm here today with my good friend Matt. And you might have seen my video where I show that there's still racism relevant in today's society, where white people are racist towards black people. And now today I'm gonna do an experiment where I'm gonna see if black people are racist towards whites. Let's see what happens. Is it alright if I borrow your phone real quick? I just gotta call my girlfriend. Take like 10 seconds. No? Alright.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Is it cool if I use your phone real quick? I just gotta call my mom's like real quick. It'll just take like 1 minute. Is that cool? Thanks, man. Alright, cool. I was gonna pick up the KFC. I got held up, but
Why'd you let him use your phone and not me?
I mean, I know him. I don't know you.
yeah.
Alright.
Oh, I was wrong, King Rock. I apologize.
I don't know.
That's some weird ass shit.
I know, right? I don't know. See, white people, man. Let me tell you, man. White, like.
Yeah, why motherfuckers that? They just think they own everything.
I know, right? They can't, you know, you can't just be letting anybody use your phone. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be. But thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
All right, cool.
All right, bro.
How's it going? Is it cool if I borrow your phone real quick?
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. All right, I'll see you in soon. I'll see you in a bit. All right, bye-bye. All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, so one, yeah, so my feeling on this is one, very much looks like it's staged.
Let someone else use your phone.
And two,
I
I
just
think...
let someone else use it.
I don't got a phone, man.
Alright.
What's up, bro?
Is it cool if I use your phone real quick? I just gotta call my mom just like 1 minute, man.
So one, I think that frankly, I don't believe that video is not staged. That whole thing is totally a setup. But even if we ignore that, I think that type of situation could completely happen, right? I think it is 100% possible that in a any situation that you could turn down someone who is not like you for a favor while accepting and being more open to interacting with someone who is like you. And that's not necessarily racism. That's, I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into that. There's implicit and explicit biases. There's lots of things. But in evaluating every situation, I think it is reasonable for an individual to make an assessment of risk of the situation that is different from what would necessarily be the case absent race. And in a situation where a black guy walks up to me who I don't know and asks to use my phone, it is entirely likely that I am less likely to give him my phone because I have a bias against giving him my phone. I do. I implicit whatever, I do. I am going to have a bias towards people who look like me and a bias against people who don't look like me. I absolutely agree. Racism, in general, is used to describe. Well, let me see if this is going to do what I think. Just because I'm not willing to give someone my phone does not necessarily mean that I think I am better or they are worse. It means that I have a different level of comfort in one situation than another. So prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior is not necessarily the case here, but a lack of comfort in a situation where I have a hard time adjusting, judging risk is a very different thing, and I think that's what you would see in these situations. So, hello, Lady Wendy. Eric, I think that's also true. Eric, I would say how they're dressed, how they speak, other things like that. There's a million things. Hello, Blake. No problem. Have a great night. Alright, so what was this? I mean, it also depends on other things, right? Like, are they a kid? Are they an adult? Do I feel as if I'm in a crowd? Do I feel as if I'm in many other situations? But I think that it's also the case that even in a situation where all of the factors are the same, if someone is my race versus not my race, I am likely to more likely to lend them my phone. I don't think that's necessarily evidence of racism, although it is certainly a measure of implicit bias. I also think that video is not a demonstration of it because it's clearly faked, but if you ignore that. We're gonna save this as 3. Hey, Kazo, how's it going? Give me that sandwich. Yeah, give me your sandwich. I'll let you borrow my phone. Take care, Force Gun. No worries. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. Didn't you get your Obama phone? God damn it. I got my Obama phone. I did not get an Obama phone. I don't even know, like, what was the Obama phone? I don't even know what that was. Like, it was a whole thing, and I didn't get it. Alright. That did not go well for me. But yeah, so institutionalized racism, as far as I'm concerned, well, not as far as I'm concerned, institutionalized racism exists. If you look at drug arrests in this country, if you look at, it's the same way that well, this is stupid. Like there are tons of biases among all types of people in this country. So welfare queens is another, essentially, a myth created by, like, it's another boogeyman created by politicians to score political points. I'm kind of disappointed that these things work so well. I think that it's really a shame that a lot of these myths are pervasive and, yeah. Oh. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. Alright, I got something going on. Thundercats! Thundercats! Whoa! Okay, so I have to knock, So DMXX, I think that most people in prison are there because of drug crimes, and it is very difficult for me to see a drug crime as a terrible crime, insofar as it rarely affects anyone other than, like, most drug crimes that people are in jail for rarely affect anyone other than the person who is in jail. You know, people are constantly arrested and everything else like that, and I think that the reality is, yeah, he does. I'm just... I think that, I don't really understand what is going on here, but... Okay, I'm really... I don't understand this. And so I will fully admit that I am I have never lived in a primarily black community. I've never been a black person. Obviously, there are lots of things in the world that I do not know or understand, and will never know or understand about what people of other races go through. I will never be able to experience racism against me because, frankly, it's not racism if it's against me. It's just people being, you know, sometimes assholes or not or whatever. Okay, I'm trying to understand... And so, DMXX, I think that we should absolutely increase and improve the number of, you know, I know that Cowdizzle might not like this because it might make his job harder, but we should absolutely increase and improve our ability and tools for catching, I'm out of, like, magic power, because I used my magic power earlier, and so all I have is, like, the little 1E left is all I've got. So, yeah, being able to heal would be a good thing. I may have to go back to an earlier save state. Like, I don't know what's going on right now. He's just standing there. So if I start charging my thing, he just stands there. Take care, Rain. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you coming in. So, just to be clear, Chicago is made worse by gangs. Chicago has a super high homicide rate, and the you know, the number of deaths in that town and the overall level at which like black youth in the city are affected by the negative things around them is super high. And I do not want to pretend otherwise, nor do I want to pretend that I have a full understanding or solutions. I am not claiming that in the slightest, and if it seems that way, it is totally a mistake on my part and not intentional. What I'm claiming instead is that much of that stems from what is institutional racism at its core. What it stems from is a school system that puts, you know, poor black kids all in the same school so they don't affect the rich white kids. What it is a overall, you know, a job system that won't hire people, that's you know, biased towards X, Y, or Z. What it is a housing system that, you know, leaves these people in this situation so that gangs become the most attractive option. You know, I was just actually watching an episode of The West Wing, and you know, one of the things that was said by you know, a black character on the show who lives in Southwest DC. It's just, you know, what do gangs give you? They give you a sense of belonging. They give you a sense of progress, of success, or anything else like that. So, yeah, I'm having a little bit of... Yeah, I am not a big fan of private prisons. The prison system in this country is just fucked up. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna read my little guide here quickly and see if I can find it. Figure out what's up. Oh, okay. I think, Kato, there was actually a piece from, wait, what? My thing went away. Okay, so I need to knock his cipher out of his hand. Have a good night, Chris! Trouble. So at one point I knocked his thing out of his hand. I need to use the plasma arrow, I guess. To be clear, I completely disagree with the death penalty everywhere, and I don't think we should have it. Okay, so he knocked my sword out of my hands here. I think this is a so the institutionalized racism thing. It feels like we're the biggest issue we're having here is we're all speaking a different language, and I don't know that we're actually having an effective conversation as a result of that. Okay, so when I hit him when he's like that, I think that I need to get past him. So institutionalized racism does exist, and it doesn't exist because of like one institution. It doesn't exist because of one thing. It exists for a variety of reasons and in a variety of places. One of the institutions, for example, that has institutionalized racism is the overall criminal justice system. The overall criminal justice system in the U.S. is heavily biased in favor of whites, all the way through from arrest to trial to jail to everything else like that. And while there are certainly terrible white people in jail, and there are certainly terrible black people in jail, there are also a lot more perfectly reasonable black people in jail who are no more a danger to society than I am, than there are perfectly reasonable white people in jail. I mean, nobody is anymore. They were when they got there. I don't think you can be in jail and stay reasonable. I think there's probably some people who walked in day one and were reasonable. Don't tell me. The NPR news quiz. I don't understand how I use this plasma arrow. King Rock Kid, it's kind of hard to figure out what people commit, what crimes people commit, when the only way that you have to measure what crimes people commit are what they get caught committing, and you have a overall institutional bias that leads against capturing, like identifying that people who aren't that are not the minority race commit them. The reality is that most crime is committed against people of your own race because it's the people you interact with the most. Alright, hold on, I'm looking up plasma arrow here. Hold the up button, and when I push B... Hold the up button to charge up, and when you push B, a bolt of plasma will be shot out. Aha! Okay. Okay, I got it. So he just waits there. Careful, your crystal's behind it. Do I get like a life recharge, or am I just screwed? Okay, let's stick to the facts that we do know. There are what, millions of people in jail in this country for drug offenses that are minor. There are, I mean, I don't know, what facts do you think tell the story? My feeling is that overall, most people in jail in this country are in jail for drugs, and a lot of people in jail for drugs are punished based on punished differently based on institutionalized racism. Those are two things that I feel. Whether you can back them up with facts or not, I think that the best way to back them up with facts would be to look at jail sentences based on race and see if they differ in the same circumstances. But I mean, DMX, Zane, the devil's weapon has been destroyed, although the chief asked Hiryu to return something something. Yeah, so the best way to look at it would be to look at overall institutionalized at racism in the criminal justice system would be to look at like exact same crime to within whatever standard you apply, exact same circumstances, and look at the sentencing differences, and there are sentencing differences, you know. And so I think it is absolutely the case that you can look at something and you can say, it was the lawyer, it was the X, it was the Y, it was the Z, it was the whatever. But at some point, when you have enough of these cases and you're not looking at 1 and you're not looking at 2 and you're not looking at 100 and you're not looking at 1,000 and instead you're looking at 10,000 or 50,000, or at this point we have something like 1.2% of our adult population is in jail and you're looking at 3 million people in jail, there's a lot of cases out there that you can look at. And the reality is that the distribution of all of these things, there's no reason, no study, no evidence, no anything else that suggests you should just expect one to be more violent, more in jail, more whatever than the other. And I know that there's this impression, you know, again, that Donald Trump pointed to, or not Donald Trump, Sessions, that you know, blacks are just naturally more violent, but that's not true. You're dealing with a situation where all of these things add up, and that's what you get to. So Eric, there are studies like that. I don't know if I don't have any handy, and I haven't read any recently. But I know that there are studies that look at like offenses, first time, etc. I mean, the reality is we need to just like, one, legalize marijuana. Basically, that just got done in Massachusetts, which is awesome. 2, we need to like be looking at drastically cutting back our enforcement of like possession of all kinds of drugs. 3, we need to be like, the drug war failed. The drug war failed, and we should stop. We should stop trying to fight a war that we have lost, and we should figure out ways to do it better. In the same way that I think that, you know, you can look at how legal and widely available contraception stops abortion, you can look at legal and, you know, legally obtainable drugs as being a way of preventing a lot of drug charges and other things like that. And so, like, yeah. As far as crime statistics, most crimes are committed against their own race. There is no, like, you know, black people kill more people, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all just, no, like, people commit crimes within their own race. That's what happens. There are certainly some cases where you can say, like, look, this number is gigantic, and this is a result of like small sample sizes with like small percentages of the population, right? So blacks are only approximately 12 to 15% of the population, and as a result, you can take the same statistics, and for whites, you will have a large sample size that's like 6 times larger, and for blacks, you'll have, you know, one instance of something, and you'll end up multiplying it by 6 times 1,000 or whatever else like that, and end up with these bogus numbers that you can expand on. So yes, poor people commit more crimes. More black people are poor. More black people are poor in part because you're dealing with like decades of what is, you know, maybe not oppression, but a lot of, you know, bad shit that's coming up to it. So yeah, I don't know. these are hard problems. This is not like something simple that we're going to solve in my live stream tonight, despite all of the effort that we might put into trying. So, yeah, I'm just skimming my notes to see if there's anything in here that I wanna have. Thanks a lot, Kadzo. So King Rock, the problem is that again, you're going with committed crimes, right? Well, how do you determine a crime has been committed? Well, you look at people who have been caught committing that crime, either arrested, or you look at people who have been sentenced committing that crime, right? So for example, if you look at White Swimmer Man or whatever his name was, who recently got arrested for raping somebody. Where the Swedish guy was walking by and pulled the guy off of the unconscious woman he was raping. This is something that he clearly was, and he didn't. He got a like probation. So did he commit a crime? I mean, in these cases. Okay, so that one's extreme. Like, yes, he committed a crime and he did no jail time, but you can't just look at the statistics that way because they don't tell that out. Like, that's not how it works. So I'm systematically more suspicious of people I'm systematically more suspicious of lawyers personally. Like, when I look around, I just find a lawyer and I say, like, that guy, that's the guy I'm suspicious of. I don't know about the rest of you, but that's the guy I'm suspicious of. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out as we played through Strider. I think that we're probably not going to make a whole lot more progress here tonight on solving the issues of today. Okay, yeah, no. If you honestly believe that blacks have become more violent as time has gone on, then yes, we're not going to achieve anything useful today, and you're done. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate some of the great conversations that we had, Juan, DMXX, and even King Rock. I'm super happy you're here. This Friday, I don't know what I'm going to be playing, but I'm probably going to go back to the topic I had planned for tonight, which is kind of web publishing. So I've been, writing web pages and managing web pages and other things like that for the past decade. I'm going to talk a little bit about, moving from publishing my own website and diary on tripod to, from my Zero Cool 319 GeoCities account all the way up through the modern, responsive designs of today and designing for mobile phones and other things like that. So stop by on Friday, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm sure we'll talk about politics again as well, because I just can't set that topic down. And yeah, so King Rock, the other thing, hop into Discord if you want to. The YouTube chat's kind of a really bad way to do this, but hop into Discord. There's a Discord link in the description below, discord.whatever. There's a link in the description below. You can hop in there. A bunch of us hang out there all the time. And, we're always willing to listen and have conversations, even when we disagree. So do that. And yeah, so I'll be back on Friday. I'll be back again on Monday. Thank you all for being here. Have a lovely night. And thanks for the sub, Jimmy Scales. And I will see you all Friday, 9:15 p.m. Eastern time. Bye.